Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, sky watchers, and skyliners. Welcome all to Vash Sky ParkCast. My name is Vash Sky. I'm going to be your host of today's ceremonies there. And I do believe Mr. Marvin Montanero over there at M4 Empire, he's either streaming right now, still in the park, or is just concluding his stream. Either way, he won't be actually following our show. So that'll allow us to go just a little bit longer than we usually do, hitting a range of topics like price hikes at Walt Disney World again. Oh, I just do not like that. Examining Lightning Lane, actually, and whether the value is actually there, because, boy, it doesn't seem like it is. And some people were saying, hey, wait a minute, are they inflating wait times? I guess we'll examine this very, very shortly. But we got that story. We also have some breaking news that actually happened today. I mean, not quite breaking, but hey, gives me a chance to play that little stinger for you, which I absolutely like, and a whole lot more stuff. Hey, maybe you can sneak your kids into Disneyland. No, don't do that. But somebody did attempt. So, and to break down a lot of these stories and more, we're going to have a range of guests throughout this show right now, and sometimes you'll be seeing me. People will be popping it out. I think it's going to be a really, really fun show for you guys with a lot of variety and a lot of great topics to discuss. But because, boy, there are so many little things going on all over the place in the theme park world. It is stunning when you actually see them. I see a whole bunch of green in that chat right there, and that is awesome. That says to me, we have a lot of sky watchers in this chat along with skyliners. Yes, people who are watching us, who are really excited about the content that we're actually showcasing right here, and people who have opted in to the membership over there, which, by the way, we will have a member stream on Saturday. That's going to be awesome stuff. Talking about a lot of these Star Wars characters, actually, from the perspective of somebody who knows some things about makeup and hair, that being Vixen. I can't wait to discuss some of these topics with her, but hey, we might have some people on this panel today talking about a little bit of that as well, maybe from a more fan-oriented perspective. It's going to be a lot of fun to get into. Let's see right here. We have, I think, Juliet coming in here with the 2 British pounds sterling, I do believe. Like, subscribe, share. That is very true. Thank you so much, Juliet. You're wonderful at, keeping me on track right there and reaching out when, hey, there might be changes to the lineup, changes to the programming and so forth. What are we going to do? It's been really, really interesting to navigate these waters as there are changes in our space. Midnight's Edge is shifting around right there. We thought that Park Place was going to shift and so forth. Doesn't look like that's happening, but don't worry. If anything does happen on that end, we'll go ahead and keep you up to date, and we'll keep this show current so that you can watch as many of your favorite streams as possible. We have got to get into some of these stories because, man, there's so many. I've got like 10 stories to choose from, guys. I'm joking. It's crazy how much stuff is actually going on. And I've saved actually some of the biggest stories for today. Let's go ahead and get on somebody who is a wonderful producer for this show. And she's been, one heck of an influence on not just the content we actually produce on here, a benefit for sure, but also a dear, dear friend. Let's go with MJ. Hello there. Let's get you in here. There you go. Hello there, MagicalyMJ. What are you, how are you doing tonight?
I thought you were going to ask me, what are you doing? I'm here.
Yeah. Well, I was going to go in that direction, and I was like, no, she's here. So why am I asking that? No, I know you're here.
It's a long day. It's a long day. We did a lot of work, and our brains are kind of fried, but it's all good because we're here. We're live and ready to give a good show.
A lot of work in the background. I was detailing to MJ, actually. What is it? I mean, I think it was like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning my time.
Literally.
But I was detailing to you just how much work had gone into one of my other machines there, the actual one that we actually stream Vash and Vixen from. And I've just been having this strange StreamYard issue. It was so frustrating. I worked 5 days on it, just constantly trying to research and experimenting with things and so forth in order to get that all corrected. Fortunately, I did finally on the 5th day right there, but it was a Herculean task, and MJ was kind enough to, listen to me as I drone on about crazy computer gear and Tactical issues. Man, it is wild. It's crazy. As soon as you start to know a platform and you think you've seen it all, nope. Windows and everybody else is there to remind you.
As technology advances, and all the gizmos and gadgets aplenty, right? Who's it's and what's it's galore.
Who's it's and what's it's galore.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you sang it way more beautifully than I did, but we got to order all this stuff and keep giving you guys the best show possible with Absolutely. The best performance possible, for sure.
Well, literally, I mean, we are taking the show to the next level every single day. It's all little stuff, but it all builds up to, I think, one incredible experience for you, which, by the way, I don't know if Disney's doing, but hey, they certainly are charging you for it. Here you go from Blog Mickey. Walt Disney World 2027 tickets and hotels now on sale. Prices increase and reach new record highs. This by Mike of Blog Mickey, April 16th, 2026, right here. I'm going to go ahead and turn this into dark mode right there to get a little rid of some of the fluff. Walt Disney World has launched the first phase of ticket sales for 2027 vacations. Starting today, guests can purchase theme park tickets, hotel room stays, and packages through October 31st, 2027. As you'd expect, prices have increased as well, and here's the latest. The Walt Disney Travel Company 2027 annual product has been released for theme park tickets, hotel room stays, packages through October 31st, 2027, and can be booked online or via the phone. The attention-grabbing headline here is that tickets have reached a new all-time high at 3 of the 4 Walt Disney World theme parks. Keep in mind that these record highs likely go on to be higher once tickets are released for the holiday season in 2027. For now, the record high prices in 2027 through October 31st already beat the record high prices in all of 2026. So as we were researching the story, MJ, initially I thought October 31st was the new high, but I was actually incorrect. October 31st is very high at about $214 for Magic Kingdom access. But if we look at the calendar right here, which we have the Walt Disney World website loaded up, hopefully it doesn't break on me because, that's Disney IT. We'll go with a select number of days, 1, and then we'll go all the way over to 2027. Give me a moment, folks. We gotta get through it together. Okay. The most expensive day that I could find in the entire calendar, because I looked, is this one right here. It is March 28th. And on March 28th, that is where we get $219 for the Magic Kingdom. A new high, because I think it previously topped out at just north of $200. So it's a surprising amount to charge for a park that is currently behind walls extensively. And I wonder about the value of going to a park like this, but also too, MJ, are we surprised that on Easter Sunday, I do believe, that's when we experience the high for Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom?
I'm not shocked by that. There's a lot of offerings throughout the resort. And as most of you know, if you don't, there's about 3 or 4 different resorts on property that offer beautiful, displays that the chefs, the chocolatiers, if you will, create these amazing. It's supposed to be like an Easter egg, but it's more of a display with, the way they carve it out, paying homage to all the classic films of the past, and people go nuts wanting to see that, even more so than visiting the parks. So much to where they actually had to restrict the transportation system that's meant for anyone to take, whether you're staying on property or not. People are free to use the transportation system throughout Walt Disney World Resort. But because of the popularity and the crowd levels they control, I think we did cover this topic where they were limiting people, from Disney Springs going on the resort buses, asking, do you have a reservation for dining? Are you staying on property? So that's one good example. But you got the Easter Bunny and Mr. and Mr. Easter Bunny, like Santa Claus and his Mrs. Claus. So it's the same concept, but it's not shocking that springtime is very popular and it will draw high levels of crowds. It's a beautiful time in Central Florida. The weather is gorgeous. It's not too cold. It's not too hot. It's just
Right.
perfect. So it's those
Right.
perfect temperatures, the displays, the offerings. It's a lot. So yeah, it doesn't shock me at all.
Okay, well, I mean, I can definitely see a major holiday like that attracting maybe the most visitors, and why you would be pricing your park thusly, right? We obviously know about pricing and how they look at the calendars and say, okay, this day is going to be, we're expecting a lot of people here, so let's go ahead and balance out those crowds. Let's try to get them away maybe from Magic Kingdom and hype up Epcot, Disney's Hollywood Studios, or Disneyland Kingdom, maybe the resorts and so forth, and spread those out. That's why they kind of do that right there. I will say, I mean, $219 for what you're seeing on screen right now, which some of these things have changed, obviously. This, I think, roll was assembled mainly off the footage of Ron from All the Presley's Fun, and I believe Marvin as well, providing this footage right here. This was October of 2025, right? So some of these things have changed, but in large part, right, when you see these walls along what was Rivers of America and so forth, those will not be alleviated by March of 2027. And yet we're charging the most that we've ever seen for really a diminishment of the park experience that everybody has felt when going to Magic Kingdom with these walls and so forth. So I look at this and I just go, is it necessarily worth that? I mean, if you were to tell me, look, we're going to reach record highs, but it's after all this new stuff is opened, hey, that's awesome. That's great. Okay, I see that. But to charge even more than you do now, even though you're offering less, I just don't like that mentality.
No, I don't like that mentality either, but only, we have to wait and see what March of 2027 even looks like, what kind of other offerings or, like you stated, Magic Kingdom is the one where you can meet the Easter Bunny, right? And then, they have their parades.
Fair.
They have a lot of, they do have a lot going on besides the wall issue. Of course, that's, that's there. That's inevitable. We're going to be seeing that for another year and a half, 2 years, maybe longer. So
maybe longer.
They shouldn't be raising the prices, but they're taking advantage because it is spring break nationwide. And it's just, they know the parents are going to be coming to the property. This is the holiday season. It's peak. They're going to do it. They're going to throw those prices out there and people will continue to pay it. And that's why they, in my opinion, have continued to have an entitlement attitude, and they will run with it for as long as people keep visiting and paying those astronomical prices. So
now, in your research that you may have done on pricing of the parks and so forth, I know you're pretty up to date on those things. Have you noticed, at least looking at the calendar or and so forth, or can we expect maybe more of those 119 days that they have, that being at the lower end of this price elasticity for this dynamic pricing that Disney has kind of given us? I know for Disneyland back in the day, it's like, okay, we're going to expand the number of days that we have that are cheap, and along with maybe raising the prices on the other end. Can we expect the same here for Magic Kingdom?
Yes. So next year, the notorious 119 comes back at the beginning of September. And there's a reason for that. There's hardly any parents that I know of will be willing to pull out their kids the first week of school. Typically the kids go back to school mid-August. So no one's going to go on vacation a week or two after school starts. And they are pretty much dead for the most part, even though September is Labor Day weekend, if you think about it, like the beginning of September. But those 119 plus tax prices are coming back for 2027, but prices are subject to change. So we just have to keep an eye on it because it can change tomorrow if they'd like.
Interesting. Yeah, it's kind of fascinating to me how Disney does this, because it's like, on the one hand, it's like, okay, we're going to go ahead and expand the lowest day tickets in order to impart value, or at least the perception of it, right? But then you look and it's like, okay, we're raising it on the other end. And so averaging it out, it's kind of either a wash or in their favor when it comes to overall revenue for the year, maybe even some quarters if we look at them very closely. But raising prices on this, again, it's a move you can make. And I understand there's inflation, rising costs, and everything else. I think it should be reserved for when these new attractions open. Space Day 220 actually coming in here. I'm sorry, Space Day 2000 coming in here with the Canadian $2. If Diz is okay charging this much now, later? Yeah, exactly. So that's the other thing too you got to think about, right? When these things actually come online, what is the price going to be for like Villains Land and Cars, and maybe even for other resort properties, parks, like Disney's Hollywood Studios, right? When Monsters comes online, or maybe when Animal Kingdom gets a number of its attractions back online, what is that going to look like? What are the price increases can we expect from a company like this who just can't necessarily hold themselves back? Oh, not good right there. But what is good, I will say what is good is people coming in here supporting the channel. Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, Space Dave, with the Canadian $2. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Every single dollar helps us. Juliet coming in here. It wasn't enough for her with the 2 British pounds sterling. She had to come back in here and make somebody a Sky Watcher. In this case, KB342. Thank you so much, Juliet, for that. And hey, KB, you know who to thank for your membership. Make sure everybody getting memberships out there, they tune in to Vash and Vixen over there on Saturdays. Members only stream at 3 p.m. Eastern. Very, very good stuff right there. L Bird 13, welcome to Sky Watchers. She's now a Sky Watcher herself. Thank you so much for the membership. Awesome stuff. I love that. Okay, MJ, we got to get into this, because this I thought was really, really interesting. Okay, it's something that I've been tracking for a long time now, and with Buzz Lightyear coming back on, some people really starting to notice, wait a minute, these wait times might not be reflective of what is being posted right there. And one could assume that this is being done for a particular reason, which if you click on the thumbnail of this video, you probably know what that reason actually is. There you go, from Rock N Stardust, Coaster K24 on X. Buzz Lightyear is posted at 105 minutes. I'm going to time it and report back. This was April 13, 2026, when he actually made this post. But when he got in line, right, he noticed something very, very interesting. Post is 65 minutes now. It is empty. Empty. And you can see right here this video that he provides us for the standby queue right there. And it does seem pretty empty to me. It doesn't seem necessarily indicative of a 65-minute wait, especially for a people eater like this. You would expect that if it's 65 minutes or even longer, that the number of people in the queue would go out the door. But it didn't happen in this case. And so one can, yes, the real ventures here saying that Coaster K24 is awesome. He is. And I want to go ahead and thank him from the bottom of my heart for actually going on the ground and reporting on all the stuff that he does. He keeps track of a number of different things going on in the parks. So good for K24. But it's very interesting to see this massive disparity between post wait times and actual wait times. And MJ, look, we all know that there is pressure on the parks division to, provide that revenue stream that Disney so desperately needs. And there's a perverse incentive now with Lightning Lane, right? It's like, if we can change some digital numbers around, no matter what's in the queue, maybe to possibly sell more Lightning Lanes, why wouldn't you do that? I'm not saying Disney is doing it in this case, and I'm not saying Disney has done that, but one can assume that could happen under Disney's current system. What say you, MJ? What do you think about all this?
I think that basically since Buzz Lightyear reopened with the new refurbishment and the touch-up paint and all the beautiful things that they did, they shined it up really nice, by the way, from footage that we saw, thanks to also Dan's Life at the Kingdom. A huge shout out to him. He actually shared a lot of photos and videos of the attraction. He actually thought it was fantastic, and told me personally that he highly recommends it for everyone to give it a go, because it's great. Since it opened, the average wait time for that attraction has been about the highest has been 65, but the average has been between 30 and 40 minutes. Usually that means it's a walk-on because you got to get through the queue line. It's just that I think it's that time of the year. I mean, we're in almost the end of April, well, kind of middle of April, heading towards the end of the month, and spring break for the most part is starting to die down. So kids are back in school, and I really don't see why it would be a long wait time. Most of the rides at Magic Kingdom have been very, very minimal. You're talking most of them are walk-ons, and that's not just for Disney. Over at Epic Universe, our friend Dan's Life at the Kingdom reported that everything was pretty much a walk-on. He tested out the Singer Rider lines. Ministry of Magic was a walk-on. I think it's just the season. I think it's that time of the month, that time of the year. People, like I said, the kids are back in school, but I don't see the high crowds right now in any of the parks, and that has a lot to do with it. I don't remember that. I think this had a soft opening anyway. I think people were expecting Buzz to be back up and running sometime in May, but I think they did a soft opening on Buzz, but I could be wrong about that one.
Well, sure. Well, look, of course, Buzz Lightyear, it would be, I would be very surprised if it went over 100 minutes, regularly, right? That attraction is, I wouldn't say long in the tooth, but it's existed for quite a while. This was an incremental change and update in this refurbishment package right here. It didn't change all that much. I understand the blasters now being handheld is a big change for fans of that attraction, no question about that. But in terms of the general public, right, are people necessarily booking vacations because of Buzz? Probably not, right? They're booking vacations for, Cosmic Rewind or maybe Avatar, Flight of Passage, and all that kind of stuff, right? Okay. I know the season right now, you might have lower than average wait times because of the lack of visitors and so forth, and I think there might be some diminishment in summer. I get that. I got that. When that wait time says even 40 minutes and you end up waiting 15, it is one of these things where it's like, where are we getting these numbers from? And I've seen that before many times.
They're pushing out those. They really want you to buy the Lightning Lane, and right. Universal is doing the same thing with the Express Passes.
Of course.
Yeah, they're raising the wait times, and they want people to think you're gonna wait a long time for this attraction, and you're not. And
and I want to be clear. This is what we believe, right? Obviously, I don't want Disney to maybe come after us. No. But this is what we believe is happening. Because look at Disney's behavior in the past, right? When you have like DAS, for example, these huge changes to DAS. You don't undergo a change like that and then look at a digital board with 2 or 3 numbers on it and don't think, what would happen if those were just a little bit higher? 15%, 20%, 25%. What would that do to people's participation rate when it comes to the product of Lightning Lane? That's an easy calculation there. Versus FastPass, there was really no incentive to do that. Because FastPass was opt-in, and it was included with your admission.
Right.
This is not that way. When you're making money off this, you gotta think something like that at least has the potential to occur. I want to go ahead and go to the terms of service here for Lightning Lane, because I think it's very interesting, the wording that's been included. If you are a long-time watcher of me, you know where I'm going with this. But for many of you who might not know this, you can go to the frequently asked questions for Lightning Lane, and that's where the terms of service is. It's kind of weird how that's positioned, but okay. You can see a lot of legal information. And then when you scroll down right here, this is a very crucial paragraph right here. I'm going to read it in its entirety. Wait times are estimates generated using a variety of factors. Wait time estimates can vary significantly from the time that you may experience and are subject to frequent changes within each day due to a variety of factors such as attendance, guest interest, weather, and attraction downtimes. Everybody gets that. Everybody's, look, you can't always position this perfectly. Sometimes you have delays. Sometimes you have, maybe somebody who is transferring, right, on maybe like Haunted Mansion or whatever. And sometimes there can be a little bit more of a delay there than is expected. Fine. No, nobody has an issue with that. right? 1, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe even 10-minute variances. Good. We're going more though. And this is what it says here. Because we cannot guarantee the accuracy of these wait time estimates, you should not rely on them when making purchase decisions. That's in the terms and conditions for this product. Why do you think, MJ, they would include something like that? Is it all because they can't guarantee what those wait times are? Or is there more?
There's definitely more. I've tested the system. I'll be honest with everyone here because I feel like transparency is what people look for and so desire. And I'm here to be transparent with everyone in the live audience. I've been denied DAS and I should have not been denied DAS. And we still go as a family and we refuse to purchase lightning lanes. I have never bought lightning lanes for myself nor for my family members when we go because it's pure extortion in my opinion. And that's how we feel. And we go. And the way I handle it for my situation, and I encourage everyone to do the same with their own situation, talk to a cast member that's working at the ride, at the attraction. Talk to them, let them know your wants, your needs, let them know how you can maneuver if you're able to transfer, test out those ride vehicles before you get in the queue line. If you have a mobility issue and you're using an ECV, you ask, can I transfer to a wheelchair until it's time to board? Ask questions because the majority of the cast members, believe it or not, they're not always in agreement with the policy that's in place, and they actually have a heart and they feel for you. They want you to have a good day. They want you to have a good time. Yes, I know we have some cranky cast members that we have all experienced and talked about, but when they see a situation and they're like, you're talking to them and explaining to them, they will do their best to accommodate you. And that's exactly what happened for me at the parks. Personally, I disclosed and I started, letting them know, hey, I cannot do certain things. What can you do to assist me? Because I don't have a lightning lane and, whatever. You never know you just have to talk to them. You have to talk to these cast members. And that's what I encourage people to do. If you do not have the money to purchase lightning lanes, talk to a cast member, see what can be done. If it's a really busy day, take that into factor. Not everyone can sprinkle pixie dust. We get it. They do it when they can. And I know it's a hit or miss because there's so many personalities. This is another reason why they're streamlining and retraining from our other discussions we've had on other shows. These cast members, hopefully that the retraining process and all of that will continue to get better over time because it's very much needed. But there's a lot of attractions that don't have a long wait time. Rides like going back to Buzz, that's supposed to be a people eater. That's just like the People Mover, the Haunted Mansion. They're not supposed to have wait times greater than, I would say, 20, 30 minutes. It shouldn't be that way. I mean, sometimes a guest, these rides break down. A guest misbehaves and ruins the fun for everyone. And then you have to wait longer to board. So they're trying to streamline all of these different issues to have a more seamless, visit as a guest.
Well, I know the frontline cast members, right? They're doing all they can. Most of them are doing all they can to really, make your day as magical as possible, and to make it honestly easier on them, right? I mean, nobody wants to be gruff because honestly, it's going to come back on you. So there is an incentive there to be on the best behavior. And to all those great cast members, thank you so much for doing that. And on the topic of cast members, for just a little bit right there, I had been assured by a cast member. It's kind of funny. I'll tell you a little bit. I don't want to divulge too much information, but I was there. Okay, somebody recognized me, right? And it was like, "Hey, from that park place," and I'm like, "Oh, I am." This was at Disneyland, and I was like, "Hey, how are you liking the show?" He's like, "Yeah, I love it. It's great." Okay, what's the one thing that we maybe got wrong, or that you would want changed about the show? He's like, the one thing the one criticism I have is the fact that that we did allege, right, that maybe there might be, some hanky business, some shenanigans, right, with these wait times in order to elicit sales. And, he took umbrage with that because he's like, look, I can tell you right now, that's not happening. And it's like, okay, that's completely fine. That's completely fair. And that's why I'm telling you guys. The cast member did tell me, right? And he told me about the process in which, at least at Disneyland, a lot of that. So when they handed the card out, right, this kind of red card that they give people, which I actually think I may have one at some point. Maybe I'll bring it out on one of these live streams right here. But when somebody has the red card that they're given from a cast member in orders so that you can give it to the cast member at the end of the line, right? And that way they can go ahead and scan it on the receptacle, and a wait time is updated from then on. That information is actually going to Florida and back, which is very interesting. I think that was part of the One Disney philosophy that they tried to implement right there. But he's like, look, there really can't be any manipulation because of how the system works. And I'm like, maybe that's true. Yes. As far as we know it and we experience it, maybe it is true that the system is, good to go and there's no issues there. But the incentive there, though, I think is there, and it will always be there under this system. And so I think it would be naive for us to believe that Disney's always going to be, above the board when it comes to this. And I'm including Universal in this too, because there's an incentive there as well. Now, I think the issues with the Epic Universe are, they stem long past, maybe inflating wait times. I think those wait times are accurate. They're just higher than average because it's like these attractions don't run as efficiently as they want them to. There's not a lot of attractions in that park, etc. But when I think about these, when I think about just the opportunity that arises when you can change digital information on a wait time board.
Yeah.
In order to elicit sales. Like, you can do that if you wanted to. I'm not saying Disney is, but you can. Mm-hmm. Come on. I mean, it's right there. It's built in.
Yeah. And we have a great time. You don't need to buy Lightning Lane for all of those out there. Someone was asking, could we have volunteers go to the parks? Yeah, we do go to the parks. We're always there. And we have a great community of people that are always at the parks. And hopefully we can show you some of their links later on in the show. But yeah, we are there to not only enjoy ourselves, but to bring you the latest information based on our experience and how we feel about it. And when we have interactions with cast members, whether it's positive or negative, but I don't feel like it's necessary unless it's a really, you're coming in for the first time and you're not probably ever coming back, and you want to go on Rise of the Resistance or you want to go on Guardians, and those are the e-ticket attractions, then maybe bite the bullet and just buy that pass for that one ride, because you can. Mm-hmm. It reminds me before we finish this segment, because of the pricing for next year, because it's subject to change, I encourage those that are planning for anything next year to go ahead and buy your ticket as soon as possible, because once you buy it, they can't charge you more. Whether that price fluctuates, higher or whatever, they cannot. For example, if you want to lock in that 119, just go ahead and do it. Not wait for the last minute, because by the time that time comes, it might not be 119. So that's a fair point. That's a fair point. That's a to all the people. It's a very good point. And well, this is also too for Disneyland, for example. Like Disneyland, it's a little bit different from Walt Disney World, but Disneyland is if you buy your Lightning Lane in advance, let's say, you get a cheaper price. For example, if you opt in for that service. Now, I'll tell you right now from my perspective, from my experience. Okay. I've gotten Lightning Lane as well. And I think it was Jared who was like, like when the parks are busiest, it's almost like when you don't want to buy Lightning Lane because you only get so many attractions because they're all gathered up from people reserving those things in advance. It's not like Universal Express, where with Express, you buy into it. And we'll go over Universal Express maybe, I don't know, it's not really 2.0, but it's a new service, right? And we'll get into that. I want to save that conversation for then. But with Universal Express, you pre-buy in, maybe they sell out, but all the attractions are available to you. And if you have Express Unlimited, for example, now you can go on those attractions again and again.
Unlimited doesn't exist for Epic Universe, but for Epic Universe's case, that might be a real value add because it's like, look, I'm only going to be here in this park once. Let me go ahead and opt in. For Disney, it's a little bit different. That value isn't always there, and it's a really unfortunate side effect of that product right there. And I hope they're not doing this. I really hope.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, when it comes to the value of the Lightning Lane service as it currently exists, I don't know if it's there. Because when you have to reserve for every single additional ride, and I think Walt Disney World, they give you 3, if I'm not mistaken, and you can go ahead and reserve from there. And I think they're broken up into tiers, too, so good luck with that. But yeah, I don't really see the value in that, especially if you have a large family. And that's kind of the unfortunate thing about DAS, is because sometimes they'll say, okay, well, you don't get a DAS, but you can get this Lightning service for, X amount of dollars. And if you have a big family, that's nothing you can do.
Well, that's why we've never purchased Lightning Lane. It's too many of us. It's me. I have 4 kids. It's my better half, and then I have my mom, and then it's just too many of us. We're not doing it. I am a huge, huge fan of Mickey's Views, and Braden, he has an amazing video breaking down the whole Lightning Lane thing. And when I watched it, I said, there is no way in this green earth I'm going to spend an additional fee just to get on a ride. Once I pay my ticket, we're in the park. If we get to go on it, great. If we don't, I'm not feeding into that system, because then it will only continue to encourage them to continue to do it. So I'm not trying to discourage people from buying it. But, look,
I had a very similar mindset back in 2017 when Max Pass was added to Disneyland before it ever rolled out in Walt Disney World, starting in, I believe, 2020 or 2021, right? Predating Genie Plus, now Lightning Lane. There was Max Pass, and it was at Disneyland, and I think it was an introductory fee of $10 a person, if I'm not mistaken, which was crazy to think about now, because now you can spend well over $40 a person, depending on what service you actually get, what attraction it's for, and etc. Single pass, multi-pass, it's a whole nother thing. Okay. When that rolled out, I said, boy, this is going to lead us down a dark path. If a lot of people buy into this, and people raved about it. And so what they go with? They went with the Max Pass system when they actually relaunched Fast Pass. You can learn about actually all of the history of Fast Pass. Defunctland has honestly the best video on the subject, and really kind of if you know Shapeland, speaking of shape language, but Shapeland, if you know about that, you know.
I'm not
going to
torture the audience tonight with shape language.
No. We won't torture the audience with that.
But if you have a membership, you could drop the emoji and have fun with that.
You got the emoji right in there, so yeah, you can definitely come on in. No.
Just want to give you an example, like and this was in real time. Like today was such a busy day, and we were working together, and then I had, we had friends at the parks. A lot of our friends are at the parks today. Right. In real life time, guys, our friend Dan's Life at the Kingdom was literally waiting at Battle of the Ministry over at Epic Universe. The sign posted, it said 45-minute wait. And then he texted me back and says, you know what? It was a walk-on. So don't let that deceive you. There is a very long, the ride is not just a ride. It's an experience. The line, the queue line, everything in there is just, take advantage of it, because it's breathtaking. It's beautiful. You want to do it. Don't let that discourage you and force you into thinking, I need to buy Express because I don't want to wait. You're just going through the line, and it was smooth sailing.
Interesting. Yeah. Some queues are really, really good. And I will say, like Fresh Baked, for example, over there at Disneyland as well, he's very, really good at taking you through once in a while the line to Disneyland, and he can actually spot visually how long that line is just by seeing it and kind of where it ends up and so forth. You get really good at that. I would encourage that kind of level of research if you're looking to get the most value out of your daily ticket right there. If you don't want to opt in for Lightning Lane, it's a great way to become an expert right there and see, okay, hey, when can I go on this? For example, like Pirates of the Caribbean at night at Disneyland. Hey, you're basically going to have a walk-on right there, especially when Fantasmic is playing. But in the day, that line can get up to 65 minutes. So you just want to go ahead and be aware of some of those things right there. Mm-hmm. Very, very cool. MJ, thank you so much for coming on right here. We have a couple of other topics to get to and some friends to bring on.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and do that. If you have any comments on the remaining topics, please, MJ, don't hesitate to come on in when you feel it appropriate. But we're going to go ahead and change it up just a little bit for our ensuing segments. Thank you so much. Oh, by the way, before
let's get to those super chats. Yes, thank you.
Yes, we got to get to the super chats, and we also have to get to this right here. Just so you real fast, where can people find you if, in fact, we don't have a chance to get to some of your information later?
Oh my goodness, you caught me off guard. Yeah, you guys can find me on X and Instagram. Very easy. MagicalyMJ with 1 L. I actually updated my YouTube channel, which I'm not a YouTuber, guys, but I updated the community post so that you can see the other shows that I'm on. But it's always fun being here with you guys, and thank you so much, Vash.
Cool. Goenjogi has your links in the chat right there, and also too, it's in her X account is going to be in the description as well. So to go ahead and check it out there. She has her list of her social media on her X as well. Thank you so much, MJ, for coming on. Let's go ahead and get to our guest of honor right here. I think we have Mr. Tom F. Tom, are you there? Good, sir.
I am here.
Awesome. Well, it's lovely to have you on right there. I know a lot of people, like Rogue Attraction, for example, is asking about Universal Express's system and the updates actually going on there. That was going to be our next topic. I'm just trying to get it all situated right here because I had it loaded up and then I lost it. Let me go ahead and get it loaded up in the background right here. But Tom, thank you so much for coming on and adding your insight into this. I know you went to Epic Universe with Berry Place 28 not too long ago. I know you didn't have the greatest time. I
actually went after that too.
Okay. And now your second time, was it better than your first?
That would be my fifth time. The first time I went with Lorena during opening day. So it's been a few times, dude. I'm a junkie for.
Hey man, I'm a junkie as well. Don't get it twisted. I love theme parks.
But it was good. And I can't say it approved 100%, but the Battle of Ministry, when I went with Barry, we didn't get to go on. It was closed. It was packed. Then it went down. No single rider. I went back with my brother and his family and my wife, and we got stuck in a queue for about 7.5 hours because it went down and nobody said nothing over the intercom. We got comped to come back another day for that. We went on and off the ride within about, we got done quicker. We went on a bunch of different things, and it was just a bad day. So it's luck. It's definitely luck.
And I've seen Brer Oswald out there. He was at Epic, and he had some very spicy words and so forth for some of those aspects. It's a great park as long as everything kind of works, and everything functions, and everything's fantastic. But when it does not work, unfortunately, it falls hard. So some of those things can be. It's going to be
a year, right? It's going to be a year coming up.
It's going to be a little bit.
I got to give them some slack, but I'm going to push back. They have 2 other parks.
That's true, and those parks are awesome. We're going to be talking about those in just a second. But first, Space Dave 2000 coming in here, gifting 5 Vash Sky ParkCast memberships. Thank you so much, Space Dave. You are awesome, an incredible supporter of this channel right here. I do apologize we didn't get to this earlier right here. We were just so deep in thought and amazing content right there for you guys. Sometimes, I'm a little bit late, but trust me, I always get to them. HC5979, Mark Mall 9222, Christian Pearson 1983, Sits and Giggles, I like the name, and Jenny Penny 2612. Hey, you are all Sky Watchers now because of Space Dave. Thank you so much. I seriously appreciate that, Space Dave. Awesome stuff. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. That is awesome to see. Thank you so much. And we have Remy D8767 with the $10. Thank you for that. It was awesome. I think all parks inflate their wait times. If I'm a guest, I'd rather be pleasantly surprised that my 30-minute wait is only 15 rather than the other way around. I see at Universal as well. I've suspected this as well. I mean, this is going back before Lightning Lane. This is Fast Pass, maybe even before then. You know, if it's like, okay, can we increase it by maybe like 15%, 10% or something like that? We'd rather do that and have the guest elated that it wasn't as long as they expected, rather than, under representing it, right? And then people are like, hey, wait a minute, you said 15, but it's 30. And I've seen that conversation play out. That's not good.
I've had that.
Right? I'm not talking about 10, 15% or 10 minutes or even 15 minutes. I'm talking that what our amazing let's see, Rock in Stardust Coaster K24. I just want to get that correct right there. What he experienced was not a difference of a few minutes. This might be a difference of 40 minutes. And that really, adds up. If you are making your assessment of whether or not you maybe opt into Lightning Lane or not, or even if you maybe don't go on that attraction because it's longer than you necessarily wanted to wait. There is this kind of self-regulating line that is known throughout the industry in which people will only wait so long for a given attraction. So if it surpasses that number, well, boy, now you're thinking otherwise, right? So that's kind of the thing I wanted to go ahead and highlight with that. Thank you so much, Remy, for your super chat. And I agree with you. Rather over than under, but within reasonable limits right there. All right, I think that just about does that one.
That's crazy,
but hey, if you wanted to opt into Universal's service, that being Express, on the day of, maybe for a particular attraction, well, you might be able to with their Universal Express Now service. This is very, very interesting. So I remember, give me a second real fast to bring this up. There we go. Let's see. Okay, right there. We have Inside Universal with this article from October 16, 2025. I'm bringing this up because, well, in that Park Places coverage, we actually covered this at the time that they were putting out this test in October of last year that had like Kong Skull Island and the Mummy actually tested for a service that they were offering in which people could opt in to the express lane for a fee, right, for that specific attraction at that certain time when the wait times approached a threshold. And it's a little bit vague on what the threshold actually was, but it's like, okay, when that is reached, then they will activate that service. You can go on your phone and see whether or not that's available, opt into it if you want to, and so forth. Well, now they have officially rolled this out. This by Inside Universal again, interesting enough. Universal Orlando is introducing Express Now, which lets you skip the regular line, once at select attractions during a set time window. The pass is available day of through the Universal Orlando app while in the park and is limited availability based on demand. And I know that Inside Universal was trying to opt in for the service. He was trying to, kind of go around attractions and so forth, seeing if he can actually opt in. And it is kind of a window. There's a threshold here in which they actually activate the service. And I do believe he wasn't able to. But I think Rogue Attraction may have brought out that this service might be as much as $25. That's a little much. I think the price point's a little bit too high. But that may be just me. Tom, I want to go ahead and ask you, would you opt in for a service like this if it was the right attraction at the right time? You're there. Please, your thoughts from maybe a regular's perspective. I can go ahead and tell you my thoughts from an outsider's perspective. Please go ahead.
As a regular, let's say you're there, but let's say you come to town with me, and I'm a regular. That might be a good way to go on our ride with you without wasting most of your time, since you're only in town for, like, let's say, the day. By myself, $25 for Skull Island? Nah, pass.
Yeah, I had to agree with that.
But if you never did that, and that was your, hey, I'm a big King Kong fan, Maybe.
Yeah.
You know, it depends on the people, but 25 isn't as bad as what I was thinking it was going to be.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it could be worse, I suppose. And look, I mean, the minimum for Disney right now, I think, is about $35. Around there, depending on the attraction, of course, depending on the park and so forth. But I thought it was around there. So when you need it, it being there is an option. It's not the greatest thing, and I think that also creates more incentive, right, in order to boost those wait times when you want, so you can have the service not only be available but for people to actually pay for it and opt in. That's a danger with this. There's no question. However, I think this implementation has some upsides, at least for, okay, let's say you're there in a day in which, like, maybe like Express Pass maybe sold out or was just about close to there. It didn't sell out. You didn't actually opt for it, but you're there. It's busier than you maybe believed, maybe even Universal believed, right? And you have a higher wait time for attractions than maybe you thought you were going to actually get, right? And it's like, hey, well, I'm in this park. I really want to ride Spider-Man, for example, and it's, I don't know, 105 minutes or something like that. And I have this option here in which I can bypass that for 25. At that point, what's your time worth? Because time is the most valuable resource when you're actually at these destination theme parks like Universal and Disney. And it's not just, hey, maybe you go home. Maybe it's like, hey, I got to take a flight out of here, right? Which I paid thousands of dollars to be here, lodging and so forth. If I'm here, extra 25 to get on the ride I want, that could be a value scenario. It's just, I know a lot of people don't like it, but some people might opt to do it, and it might provide real value for them, as I think Tom pointed out right here.
Yeah, it could be a good option. Thing is, do we know if it's going for all three parks?
Right now, I think they're limiting it to the existing, like Universal Core, right? So Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Florida. I do not believe they're doing this Epic Universe just yet, because I don't think really Epic Universe can provide a service like this at this point. That would make those problems worse, I would imagine, from an operations perspective at Epic Universe. I don't think that's available right there, but they are doing it right now, at least in their existing parks. Let's see if we have some other information that we can get on. Inside Universal says, so we've been in park for about 2 hours and the Express Now option never became available. It's possible it's only an option when there's low demand for Express and not automatically offered. Very interesting point. And Sean, Ranking the Mouse, who, by the way, travel agent, said this, thanks, I absolutely hate it. Universal was one of the last major changes to introduce this awful add-on after Cedar Fair, Six Flags, United Parks, and Disney. Lightning Lane service, Single Pass, all have similar offerings. It's true. That's a very good point. There's no question about that. But look, Universal Now is going to be provided there. Oh, looks like the Yoshi theme park wizard? That's interesting. And Donkey Kong and Hiccups. Okay, Hiccups Wing Gliders, that's very interesting. But Donkey Kong and Yoshi. Donkey Kong, it would make those problems exponentially worse, I would think. And Yoshi, that is not near $20 to $25. Go ahead.
2020. Well, you got to figure, how much is a Coke and a bottle of Coke and a snack versus eating that fast to get in line, or taking the line shorter and going having a sit down, or a better meal. Yeah, I could see people weighing it out. Epic has some good restaurants, so.
They do. They really, really do.
So,
actually,
it's like, hey, if we could bang this out faster, we can all sit down and have a regular meal versus the quick service stuff.
Right.
Let's say the kids really want to get on that Yoshi's ride. It's an hour and a half, 2 hour wait versus. I can see that.
I can see it too. I mean, look. It's going to be up to the guest whether or not they want to opt in for this. Obviously, Universal expects there to be a market, and it doesn't look like they're, going unrestricted just yet, right? Because, I mean, I would imagine that Disney probably caps some of these things maybe a little bit higher than what they can actually provide, which is unfortunate because they just can't help themselves. I think Universal has been a little bit more conservative with their approach when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Express passes, they sell out. You're done. They're done for the day. You can't get no more.
That's true. That's a good point.
It makes the lines go, once the people are done with the Express, and I believe the Express passes, even if you get the full one, it's for one ride each, right? I'm not sure if I have that right. I thought that's what it was. I thought it was.
Yeah. So Universal. Okay, so from what I understand, because I did a little research on this recently, so for Epic Universe, Universal Unlimited or Express Unlimited is not currently available for that specific park, right? But you can opt into Express Unlimited for the other parks, that being maybe Volcano Bay. I don't think so. Okay,
I've never been to Volcano Bay, so.
Well, there you go. So Islands of Adventure for sure, and Universal Studios Florida, right? You can opt in for Express Unlimited, which is unlimited access to the attractions listed in that package right there, and go on those attractions. And if you have Park to Park, I believe maybe it's even a better value when it comes to that. But Unlimited is not available yet at Epic because they just simply can't provide it. So, and it's going to come out at a higher price point, but you do get unlimited access for those attractions. And so if you have something on the list there where you want to ride over and over again, that might be pretty cool. Let's see here. We have Remy D8767. Thank you so much. Hagrid's is not going to be $25. It would be $50+ LOL. If I were at Universal, I would be foolish to charge less than $40 for Hagrid. It's a very good point. That's going to be the attraction that people want to opt into the service for. It'll be interesting to see what the final pricing will be for some of these experiences right here. I don't believe we have a final list of some of these prices, but I'll go ahead and look it up right now.
It'd be interesting if they vary prices.
I think they do for this specific service because, well, let's be honest, not every single attraction is worth maybe what they are, the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I could see them doing it Battle of the Ministry, charging a lot for it, or something like that, because it's newer, one of their newest.
Yeah, they said they were doing the test of this service. It was $24 to $26. I was trying to find some pricing information myself. I couldn't necessarily, but I would assume that there's going to be some variance, just like what we see actually at Disney. But really, really interesting stuff when it comes to this story and maybe the future of some of these skip the line options that are available. Bruce Newhouse going in here. Howdy to all the beautiful people out there. Well, thank you so much for coming in, and thank you for everybody to come in and joining us right here. I think we have 114 of you out there on both the X and the YouTubes. Thank you for choosing us for your nightly entertainment right here. I think it's pretty cool.
It is.
I mean, these services will continue to be added, whether it be from Universal, Disney, or otherwise. And I think it's just going to be the operational reality that we have to expect from the modern theme park experience. I don't think they're going anywhere. I do think Universal's implementation is. It's true. I mean,
that would be the thing. If nobody bought it, they wouldn't sell it.
It's a good point. That's a good point. That's very, very true. I would like for that to be the case, although I do understand the operational reality. If you're going to do a service like this, right, if like a skip the line option, I think Universal's the way to go when it comes to Express Unlimited, and so forth. I don't like Disney's implementation of it because it's a little bit too accessible in order to induce more sales and really creates a product and a service that is bad for people who have opted into it and otherwise, right? So if you're a standby guest, you have to wait for those people, and that's not good either. So not so good, but c'est la vie. Speaking of prices, though, it's very, very interesting, Tom, how expensive these parks have become, because, boy, people have noticed, and they might be taking steps to mitigate those costs, maybe by sneaking in their kids. This is no good. This Walt Disney World news today.
They were trying to get into Smuggler's Run, I'm telling you.
Yeah, we were smuggling in the living cargo. Oh, that's Maybe I
not
shouldn't have said
touching
that. Anyway, family caught on video attempting to sneak child into Disneyland. This by Shannon Ace right here, April 14th, 2026. Now, look, this is a little bit older of a story. We didn't quite get to it because we just had so much news. But now that it's been picked up by some bigger outlets, this is going to give me the confidence to say, okay, we can actually cover this. Because I saw this on social media when it happened. I was like, can we take that interpretation from it that people are actually trying to sneak their kids in? Apparently we can. TikTok video going viral appears to show a family trying to sneak one of their children into Disneyland Park without paying for another ticket. You can see right.
I have a question.
Please.
How do we know the kid just didn't crawl back there and likes to be there? Do we actually have a police report? Do we actually have a trespassing something? Anything?
This is we. To be fair, Tom, we might not have that information currently available. And this is why I was a little bit hesitant to cover the story, because, what you see on video, that might be a little bit different. But when you have New York Post covering it right here, it's like, okay, it gives a little bit more credence to the story. Yeah. And I will say, some people were like, well, it's not going to really pass security. If you understand where you are in the park, when this video is actually taken, this is actually past the security point. This is actually in the Esplanade of all places, the area between Disneyland and Disney California Adventure after security. So this is very interesting. They may have passed security with the child outside of this stroller right here and opted to maybe put them in a compartment in which they perhaps couldn't be seen. You can see what this actually looks like right here.
And he did it.
Yeah, this is kind of what the Esplanade looks like regularly. That's where roughly this video was taken. It's kind of on the other side, but same area. As you can see right here, if you're not familiar with
it. Go through that section very often. I've never personally been there.
Yeah, Tom, you gotta go. But this video uploaded by, let me see if I can actually see who this was. This was, Sin City Born and Raised is who had this right here. Let's go ahead and see this video in question. You can see right there, and then unfortunately you can see the kid right below there, right there. Tom, don't like this idea. If it's true, I mean, look, obviously, we have to say allegedly in this instance because we might not know for sure.
I see the kid's face. And I'm looking, it's like, well, is the kid just turned around in that carriage like that?
That's what I kind of thought.
Just my brain. I'm sorry.
It's true. However, I will say when it comes to a stroller like that, I mean, that looks like the storage compartment to me, at least looking at this. This is why I was a little bit hesitant to bring this up, because it's like that's an allegation there. You kind of have to back it up. There's some news outlets going through this with confidence, so it's kind of like, okay, well, the prospect of sneaking your kid in, look, they had the $39 pricing, right?
Yeah. Where
like infants, 2-year-olds, they don't have to pay in order to get in, and so there have been occasions in which people try to pass off little Timmy, who might be 3 or 4, as somebody who's 2, right? And depending on how that child develops, maybe you can actually do that, maybe you can't. I'm sure it goes on. This is to a next level, if in fact this is true. Don't support this kind of behavior right here. What say you, Tom? What do you think about this? Assuming it is true.
If it's true, if it was true, no, I don't support that. That's horrible. Why would you do that to your kid in the first place? If you're that cheap and you can't do it, what are you doing? What are you teaching your children? And if it isn't true, honestly, if it is true, they should be prosecuted for child abuse.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of a weird place to stick your kid. Time out, Timmy, get in the cage. What is that?
That's true. The blogger who actually did film this said that he figured the parents were hiding the kid because he never came out of the pocket. That's interesting. He said that he even thought that the kid might be a pet to begin with. Quote, at first I thought it was a pet because of the mesh, he told the Post. Then I realized it was a kid eating crackers, being as quiet as can be. The little girl sat in the stroller while the other child hid in the mesh, he said. Neff said that he was visiting Disneyland for spring break with his family. Again, this is all accounts of of the person who actually spoke to the Post. And for this vlogger right here, this is why I think Tom, rightfully so, it's like, hey, do we have a police report? Do we have any hard evidence to suggest that this was the actual case? No, but based on these accounts, you can take these with the salt that you probably should. Quote, all my years of Disney visits, I've never seen a kid stay this calm in a space so little, so it made me think that it was not his first rodeo. Interestingly enough, Nerf said that he thought the kid had done it before, and that he might even get in. So I decided to clip it and post on my TikTok. He said, never thought it would go viral. Sneaky act comes as Disneyland tickets are more expensive than ever. And goes over the prices, but this is interesting too. This is during the period in which California residents can actually get their kids in for, I believe, I think it's half price if I'm not mistaken. So it's kind of like, even with that, some people might be opting for the sneaky, might be. We don't know in this particular case, but it is weird how this child is positioned in this stroller, I will say. To
be quite honest, if I would have seen that in person, I would have questioned the guy.
Really?
Sorry, that's how I am. I would have been like, "What's your kid do to deserve that?"
It's a fair point. It's a fair point.
I'm one of those guys. I'm not going to keep quiet if a kid's like that. You can't do it.
Hey, look, listen. I mean, that is something. I think in my personal experience, I would have been like, let's go ahead and get a Casper in on this, because this is a little strange. Right before the ticket booth, they're in line to get in.
Casper, yeah. Police.
So it's
yeah.
Right, and have them deal with it, because it's just like you said. It seems a little distressing to me. So, no good. Don't like seeing that right there, but it is really something, in how expensive these parks are, and the lengths by which people actually go to try to save money. I don't recommend this at all. No question about that.
I mean,
but
if you sneak it in snacks and some stuff like that, more power to you.
Right. And well,
it's like you do that to the kid. What else are you doing to the kid? My brain goes there.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you. I know your personal history there, Tom. I don't want to reveal too much, but I can definitely understand why you might take that route right there, because quite frankly, I know you may have seen things.
Some kind of working environment that
We don't have to say any more than that, but no good. O2RR coming in here with the 499. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate that. While I've seen footage of unruly and foolish guests at Universal being escorted out, Disney incidents usually happen to be a lot more extreme. They do, and that's most unfortunate right there. A lot of Universal incidents we don't actually hear from. I think there is an account actually that uploads body cam footage from theme park incidents, specifically Universal, which is very interesting. But c'est la vie. These things are much more high profile because, well, Disney's under a microscope. They are the biggest in entertainment and obviously the biggest in the theme park space. So there is going to be more residents delivered for a Disney park story rather than other types of stories. And so I think, look, this was something that really took social media by storm right there. I saw it in a lot of outlets outside of our sphere. So I thought it was very important to actually reference and put up. I'm hoping the kid is okay, obviously, and I'm hoping that this isn't what this family was actually trying to do. But it is very concerning when you see stuff like this, and I do expect incidents, maybe like this one, to be a little bit more, popular as time goes on, as people look to do anything that they can. I hope it's not the case, but I think it might be. Go ahead.
I hope people call it out, call security, find out, ask. I mean,
that's a good point.
That's it's a kid, it's a child. What are you doing?
I agree wholeheartedly, Tom. And please,
especially let's say if they did that here in Florida on a hot day. You guys have hot days, but you have a little bit more temperament weather out there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. Absolutely. I mean, it's California is one thing, but Florida, that's no joke right there. O2RR, thank you so much for supporting the channel right there and making your voice heard. I think it's a very important story to cover. It's tough, but important nonetheless. Okay, I believe around this time we're supposed to have a special guest joining us right here, so I'm going to save on a little bit of his commentary for the moment. We do have an update to a previous story that we did cover right here, and maybe, Tom, I know you're an expert in many things, and so I don't want to go ahead and assume you're not an expert in all things, because you do know a lot. But are you an expert on crows, good sir? Because I need a crow expert.
The only person crow expert I could be is my dad, who goes by the nickname Old Crow. So,
does he really?
Yes, that's his gaming tag. The Crow. That's his gaming tag.
The Old Crow. Well, okay. Well,
listen, he's 80 years old and he's playing first-person shooters.
Oh, hey.
Okay. Just.
If that's how you spend your time, I'm gonna judge right there. You know, I video game, for like maybe 2 minutes that I have free on occasion. But hey, I'm a fan of the game. So if you're 80 and that's what you're doing, wow.
Is this the story about the birds peck the crows eating the hair?
Yeah, well, okay, so this is an update to that story, interestingly enough, because you were right on. This is from New York Post right here. Everybody remembers the famous crow incident, and I will say I got a little reporting wrong when I covered this story because we covered the original incident, and obviously what you saw is what you got, right? A few crows, maybe making a nest, opted to make one out of Rapunzel's hair at Tokyo Disney Sea in their Fantasy Springs area. All of that I got correct right there. But when we updated the story originally, it was interesting because they had, put her back up, and I was saying, hey, I hope there's going to be mitigation efforts actually placed in there to prevent this, incident from happening again. And what I didn't realize was that was already implemented in the form of strings. So you'll remember this post right here. I brought it up. Scott Goosen said it. I didn't read it, and I couldn't actually see it on my monitor because I didn't have the contrast set. I have the brightness very low, so it doesn't actually distract from the camera. But they're there.
Oh,
I don't know why I didn't see them before.
Yeah. They're like in a crisscross spiderweb type pattern.
Right. Newly added strings should keep away any nearby crows from crossing the line. You can actually see them buff their hair. That's not the update, though, I want to go ahead and tell you about. Because the crows decided to move on to a new target. Same movie franchise, different character. This time,
not
Maximus.
The horse.
No! Crows now attacking Maximus animatronic after bird deterrent is added to Rapunzel's tower at Tokyo Disney Sea. This by Lauren Streckner over there. April 13th, 2026. Tokyo Disney Sea's Murder of Crows. Oh, I guess I couldn't see that on camera. Well, guess what, folks? I did say it. There you go. That's what it's called. YouTube, please understand what I'm coming from.
That's the name of the birds.
Has returned and has resorted.
It's not a flock of seagulls, people.
Not a flocking.
Flock.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, be clear about that for sure. Has resorted to attacking the Maximus animatronic on Rapunzel's Lantern Festival in Fantasy Springs. You can see right there what that looked like. Everybody's familiar with the footage, but they turned to Maximus on April 1st in what was not an April 1st April Fool's Day joke. A video showed Fantasy Springs outdoor Rapunzel animatronic being attacked by crows. They were fittingly yanked out of her hair to use for nesting materials. The animatronic was temporarily removed. When she reappeared in her shower later, she was sported a new kind of crow-proof hair. I don't think it's crow-proof. I think it was the strings prevented that. But now it's Maximus. Crows are incredibly intelligent birds, and Tokyo Disney Sea's resident crows wasn't about to be deterred from foraging around Fantasy Springs for nesting materials. Now they set their sights on another tangled character, this time the horse. Oh, that's no good. I think we have the footage right here. Let me see if I can go ahead and bring it up for you guys because this is no good. Don't want to actually see Maximus actually hurt by the crows. But you can see them right there. Look at that.
Oh my God. They were looking for some horsehair and they got not horsehair.
Yeah, they got the horsehair. The horse that couldn't move and defend itself. No, Maximus. That's not what we want to actually see. This by Meow, I do believe 8888 on TikTok right there. That's no good. Don't like this, Tom. What do you do? Okay, what do you do with the crows?
They're smart.
Uh-huh.
I think it's like as smart as a 5-year-old or something like that. I've heard.
A
But
7-year-old.
They probably sat there, watched these animatronics, and said, "These things constantly move in the same direction. They don't do anything else. They
That's
can't
true.
be real." Probably one landed on it, checked it out, said, "Hey, Heckle," and Jekyll went back. "What? Let's go do this," because crows, Heckle and Jekyll. Just saying.
Yeah. No, I look. I'm sure they have names for each other, man. 7 years old that's pretty
You
smart,
don't remember
right there.
the cartoon crows, Heckle and Jekyll?
No, I do not.
Oh, you got to look that up, man.
Oh, I guess I do. But
I'm
while I
showing
do
my
that,
age.
I want
Sorry.
to. No, you're fine. I want to go ahead and bring on somebody who I don't think he's a crow expert right there. I mean, maybe he might be. I'm not sure. I actually haven't looked at his personal history.
Well,
That
they are
to
the
that
Black
extent
Crows,
right
so
here.
it could be a band reference too.
If that's true, maybe we're gonna find out together, Tom, about the expertise of our next guest talking about these crows and more for sure. It is the one, the only Orange Crow 55. What is going on, good sir?
Hey, not much. I appreciate you, Vash and Tom.
Hey.
It's good to be here. And no, I'm not a crow expert, although I have eaten crow a few times, and I didn't like the taste of it. So
No, it doesn't taste good.
Yes,
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what, like, okay, in this instance, what do you do? Like, what do you do to prevent this behavior? I actually don't know. Like, I mean, I know Disney, for instance, there was fur and stuff on, like, Jungle Cruise audio animatronics initially. And then we saw a lot of that being removed because it's hard to maintain in the weather and atmosphere and everything else. But this is an entirely new problem for Tokyo right here, it would seem. What do you do in this case?
yeah, I think you do. I think what you do is you have it molded with whatever material they're using. You can't obviously the real hair isn't working. And like you guys were talking prior to me coming on, I mean, crows are very intelligent. Like I heard they like hold grudges and they can like remember people for years and things. Like they're really smart, dude. I mean, so like Tom, you were saying, one crow probably figured this out, went back to the home base, told all the other crows, and now it's a thing. So yeah, they're gonna have to actually use some other material, some sort of like molding material that's not actual hair. I mean, it's sad too, though, right? And this is a gorgeous figure, and so is the Rapunzel.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I mean, I think a lot of these figures are gorgeous, and to see Rapunzel up in her tower, people have been waiting for that moment for so many years. I remember when the Tangled restrooms opened up with the rest of New Fantasyland, right? Back in when Magic Kingdom actually debuted that, I think it was like what 2013, something like that. And people were like, oh, we don't get to see Rapunzel. That would be awesome to see that. I think they had a meet and greet for a little time there, but unfortunately, I think that went away. And so people have been waiting for a really for real Rapunzel experience. And hey, guess what? Tokyo actually offered that. It's great to see. And these crows actually end up attacking. No good. Don't like to see this. This is, man, it's no good. Come on, crows. What are you doing to us? Hey, we want to enjoy our attractions.
Yeah, and it's been kind of a rough couple of weeks for these kind of figures, right? Because we had this situation with Maximus, we had it with Rapunzel, we also had Olaf, who just died like on the scene.
He melted.
Yep.
He just melted. It's okay.
And we're not talking about that viral video that everybody's talking about. I mean, I've seen that thing everywhere. It's crazy. But also, too, on the attraction itself, right? This is also in Disney Adventure World on the signature attraction for Frozen. Olaf in there didn't have a great time either. So, like you said, OG, we're experiencing some issues internationally, at least with this animatronics, in more ways than one. No good, not good to see. So maybe we opt for some live characters. And now, folks, that takes us to our next story, which, by the way, today at least was breaking. Was Star Wars' official X account that gave us the debut, finally, after 7 long years. Princess Leia, or as they say, sorry, okay, I do apologize, General Leia, I do believe, for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland Park right here. Here you go. She has made her debut. We've been waiting for this after, Han Solo made his debut, I believe, yesterday, actually, right before our show. That takes place every single Tuesday at 2 p.m. I'm sorry, Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. After we, like right before we went live, boom, we had Han Solo come out and Lauren had his great thoughts on this. Now we have Leia. Okay, and I'll show some B-roll that features all these characters, including Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Leia in just a moment right here. But, OG, I want to go ahead and get your thoughts on this interpretation of the character, because I think Variety had a write-up in which they were pretty brutal with Han Solo. They said, like, worst hair ever in the actual park itself. You can see right here this headline. No Harrison Ford, Disneyland's new Han Solo debuts at Galaxy's Edge and gets roasted by fans for, quote, worst wig ever and more. I thought that was a little harsh. I didn't think these characters were necessarily that bad. I will say, though, Han Solo, I think you got enough of the details right. His vest's a little bit bluer. Maybe that's the LUT that they're using for that video footage. But, you don't have, like, the black pants, right, with the red stripe.
He doesn't have the
blood
blood
stripe. You got the brown with the yellow. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
He doesn't have the blood stripe. He doesn't have the...
the Carillion blood stripe, as Lauren actually noted to us actually yesterday on the program. But I think Leia is...
She looks like she just came out from the Minox.
It's a little bit disappointing, I think, maybe to see a character like this that could really add some contrast to the land, right? That could really add some color and some flavor to it. Be reduced down, I think, with her almost monotone outfit that's more representative of Empire Strikes Back. I guess I was expecting a little bit more. I'd heard the description that was going to be an amalgamation of Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, I think, with the Endor costume and so forth. I was a little bit disappointed with this one. What do you think, OG? I mean, did they nail it on the head? Are people going to be excited about these characters? What have you been seeing? Go ahead, please.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. I'll get the positive out the way first. I mean, I do appreciate the fact that we're finally getting some other eras in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. So I do want to give credit where it's due. All of us have been asking for this for 7 years, which is crazy. Here I have a couple issues, and I don't want to get too far into it because this gal and then the guy who plays Han, it's not their fault. They're just doing their job. So I don't want to get too brutal with them. But it's Disney, really, right? It's Disney because they're casting. I mean, Harrison Ford was in his 30s in A New Hope.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was not like a spring chick. I mean, he was young, but not like, But the guy they picked for the Han Solo in the park is like 22 years old.
That's a fair point right there.
And
that's a good
Disney
point.
Problem. That's not his issue. He was just doing his job, and so is she. So no harm for them, right? But I just feel like Disney, the casting is not really there, and maybe they only have a certain amount of cast members to choose from, and so they pick the best that they can out of that pool, but. I don't know, Universal, and I hate to say this all the time because they do a lot of times outshine Disney in a lot of different ways. The casting stuff is another example of that. I mean, when you go to FanFest or these events at Universal, the Doc Brown is spot on.
Man.
I mean, and that's a tough one to do, right? Because Christopher Lloyd has a very unique look to him. And then even the Marty and all that, they look so good. And it's just, I don't know. I think these are good enough, close enough, passable. Guests are going to know who these characters are for sure. I appreciate that they're bringing them out, but I do hope going forward we try to get a little closer to the actual character. I think Han, I think they need to age him up a little bit for this role, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, though.
Yeah. So Harrison Ford was 34 years old at the time that he filmed A New Hope, or the original Star Wars in 1977, right? So to your point, I think you made a great point about this. A little bit young, and that's unfortunate. I think Luke also has been cast a little bit young, and that wig. Whoa! If you're mad about Han Solo's wig, really examine that wig, folks. For Luke Skywalker, it's not very great.
Well, Vash, there's another positive here, though. I will say,
sure.
At least he's not walking around Tokyo Disney because the crows would love that hair.
Oh,
That's
that'd
a
be
good
great to
point right
see.
there. Oh no, he's gonna have to defend him off. We're gonna have
Tell
to
you.
defend him from the crows. That's no good. We don't want to see. We don't want to see that right there.
Can we make a song about that? The black crows hit Luke's hair.
I think we can. Tom, you're the guy to actually do it right there.
maybe
That would be very, very interesting to
Parody.
hear. If you guys don't know, Tom actually does our intro for us, and it is some fantastic stuff. A lot of people like that, love that. Praise goes to the Tom there. But I like that we're shifting all of this. I do like that we're shifting the saga there because, listen, I gotta be honest, right?
I recognize that person.
yes. That was the daughter of Brave Place 28 that you're actually seeing there, Ariel. I've seen Rey, I've seen Kylo, and to see those same characters for so long, it needed a change up. It needed an update. It needed a new life, right? Especially in the wake of Marvel's Avengers Campus when it opened. Now, Avengers Campus, I would say, a little bit lower quality than Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. No question about that. But there was a livelihood to that land that wasn't, I think, fulfilled at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Like when you saw that entertainment going off on the rooftops right there, which was something that was promised for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge back in the day, when you see the Tour Melage, go through that land, when you see Spider-Man, hopping over rooftops right there, at least it felt more living than Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And so implementing some more of these characters, having them walk around right here, and not being so restricted to a very set timeline where basically everybody's dead, I think is very good, right? I mean, what say you?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I like the fact that we're getting more era. It's crazy to me that they opened this land with only one era, right? And I think the sequel trilogy has a place in this land, like all the other eras, because it's part of the universe. I get it, but they should have included the other eras as well: the prequels, the OT, all that good stuff, the Filoniverse for the kiddos, the animation, and all that stuff. So it's good to see it, right? Now the positive thing too is these cast members or these performers, face characters, they're gonna cycle through over the years, so it won't be the same gal and the same dude forever, so it's probably going to be hit or miss. Some days you're going to go to the park, and some days the Han will look like Han, like really spot on, and some days it won't. Some days the Leia will be spot on, sometimes it won't. But yeah, I mean, they're not they're not really like, they're like 70% there, kind of, right?
And that might be enough, right? It's like, okay, go ahead and get them in. I'm just like, can we please, can we get just Leia as we remember her from A New Hope, and is probably the most iconic version of her. I remember when she made her appearance during Princess Night, if I'm not mistaken, at Disneyland some years ago, actually. Her line was out the door. You couldn't see her even if you wanted to, because you didn't have 4 hours to spend, or more than 4 hours to spend in that place, because of the event's limited time window right there. But people were really excited. And to see Leia, of all the costumes that you actually choose, to see something a little bit, I mean, I was having this conversation with Vixen actually recently. Maybe something even more masculine than I think people maybe necessarily anticipated. And to see it kind of not add a lot of contrast to the land, like she doesn't stand out, she kind of melts into the background a little bit right there. Actually, I will say, OG, if I saw her walking around, I would probably have to mention that was Leia to that person, because it's not really discernible. I think in maybe the broader context of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, that it even is Leia as people maybe expected.
Yeah, because when you look at this young lady, that's Rey. Like you can just you could tell Leia is a little bit more. What would you say? A little more subtle, I guess, with it or something. I don't know. I mean, they should have had. I would have put the buns on.
A little bit more stylish.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, Rey is like it's like she walked out of the movie.
Right.
Whereas to your point, I probably would have opted for the buns. That way it shows people get on, this is Leia. And Han, he's very distinctive, right? I totally get it. He's got that swagger, he's got that walk. He can actually do it right there. Leia, I think so much of her presence is found in her costumes. Really important to get that right, because there's not really many ways to express that character other than what she actually wears. And so I just don't think they really fulfilled this. Like you said, Universal, when it comes to last year's FanFest nights with Doc Brown and Marty McFly, it's like those characters came to life. It's crazy. And even some of the people who didn't maybe embody those features to a T, they performed their roles so well that it really made you believe that those people actually came to life. And through the little sketches and acts, right? Remember, it had like a rotating thing in which they would go from this point to this point to this point, reenacting those amazing scenes from the film. It was done with such an exuberance, such a livelihood, such a great feeling for a fan of those films, that you really believed you were interacting with those characters. Really, really amazing stuff. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, I don't know if they're going to necessarily do that here. That's also an unfortunate part of it as well, because
your neck of the woods, right?
Yes, it's only going to be at Disneyland, not Florida, which is going to be very, very interesting. I don't know necessarily why they're doing that. Maybe it's like a test pilot to see if in fact there's a big response, and maybe if they can do it in Florida. I know Florida has certain, issues that California doesn't contend with. Maybe it's easier operational, not sure, but there's not going to be those times at which they can really embody these roles, reenacting scenes from the movies and so forth. So if you don't nail the look of them, well, then now you have less to actually immerse you into making you believe that these characters are actually in front of you. It's most unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I think Universal, maybe they benefit from it being also like a working movie studio. They have a bigger talent pool they can kind of pull from. Because I remember going to Universal a few months ago, and they had the Wicked meet and greet, and I never saw those movies, but I think it was Ariana Grande's character. Was it Glinda? She looked spot on, dude. I mean, the gal they had playing her at the park, I mean, you would have thought it was Ariana. I mean, it was so spot on. It was incredible. And I don't know. I mean, it's just, I see that over and over again over at Universal. It could be because they're a studio as well. And maybe that's the case. I don't know. But even Disney, though, I mean, Burbank isn't that far from Anaheim. I mean, it's a 30-minute drive. I mean, and Disney has all the resources in the world too. So I don't really know, to be honest.
Well, and also too, Anaheim is very close to Hollywood, in which you can have a larger talent pool in which to pull from, people trying to make it in the industry and so forth. And, some of these people, they have side gigs and maybe they want to get noticed and recognized for their amazing talents, maybe picked up by studios. That's actually happened recently. Remember a big time show that's on the air right now. She said that she started her life out as a Disney princess, which is very interesting to actually read. Oh. Sometimes these things happen, and that's why maybe you have characters who maybe embody these characters maybe a little bit more closely than what you see at Walt Disney World. I've certainly seen that effect, but your mileage may obviously vary. But speaking of characters and bringing them to the parks, there has been a story, OG, that we've been covering pretty closely between your channel and my channel. This whole saga involving Avatar and its ongoing existence as it's been showcased by Disney in the past. It's like, okay, are we getting Avatar for California Adventure? Like they said it was gonna come. Yeah, D23 Ultimate Fan Event 2024, right? Josh Duhamel got on that stage and said, hey, this thing's coming. We've announced this before. Here's some concept artwork, and we actually saw models and so forth that were brought out, and everybody was really excited. And I think Scott Goosen actually said, oh, Imagineering's in great hands. This is fantastic. This is great. But now these things have come into question a little bit, especially as Drew Taylor actually mentioned in his Wrap article, when $1.4 billion isn't enough, Avatar sequels under the microscope as Disney weighs franchise's future. James Cameron's latest installment could be the midpoint of the series, or it could be the end. And we had, I think, a fantastic show on your channel. Guys, if you haven't seen this, go in the collaboration section of this channel that you're actually watching right now. Watch that video. It's awesome. We go over a lot of stuff brought in this video and otherwise. I'm sorry, this article. Very, very good. But now the story takes yet another turn. I can only show you this partially because it's Orange County Register, but if we go over here, Disneyland files confidential demolition permits for Avatar Land. The Monsters Inc. Dark Ride in Disney California Adventure will remain open until 2027. Okay. Right after Drew Taylor publishes an article questioning whether or not this is actually happening, after Jim Shaw has said, hey, don't be surprised if you see Josh tomorrow announce that Zootopia was going to come in at California Adventure, in place of Avatar. Now you have new permits filed. This is by Brittany McDonald right here. The Wrecking Ball is coming for the Monsters Inc. Dark Ride at Disney California Adventure, even though Mike and Sully and the other Scare Factory workers won't have to move out until 2027 to make way for a new Avatar Land coming to the Anaheim theme park. Disneyland filed confidential demolition permits with the city of Anaheim for Monsters Inc., Mike and Sully to the rescue, and the Hollywood Lounge beverage stand, according to Theme Park IQ. If we go to Theme Park IQ, here it is. Disneyland has filed 9 confidential plan check demolition building permits this afternoon. One of the permits is related to the Monsters Inc. attraction building, and one is related to the Hollywood Lounge QSR building. As these are confidential, there's no specific information I can share. These are early plan check permits, so don't expect anything to happen for a while. I'll share more info as it becomes available. See right here, this is roughly where those permits actually say they are going to be. OG, are we getting Avatar? Because frankly, I don't know if this says completely this is where we're going, but I could be wrong. Please go ahead.
Well, it's interesting. When the rap article came out, I was like, and we talked about it. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know now, because that Drew Taylor, he was cool. And he said on Twitter, he said he has multiple sources saying that they were reconsidering this whole Avatar thing. Right. And then, like you were saying, like about a couple days later, we get the OC Register article. Now, OC Register is basically coming from Disney without it coming from Disney. That publication is Disney uses them a lot to release information and what have you. And the timing was very, as the kids say, very sus, right? Just a couple days after. So I feel like the OC Register was Disney's attempt to sort of like, we'll put it out there in the OC Register to kind of squash these rumors. This thing is still happening. I also, a friend of my channel, who I love dearly, Hey Bricky, he dropped a video the other day about this, and he was saying, I guess he has multiple sources within the company, like within Imagineering, from multiple different areas of Imagineering, and they're all telling him the same thing. It is coming. In fact, it's further along than I thought. According to Bricky, they're even working on the animation, digital animation for the attraction already.
Really?
That's what Bricky said. That's what he heard from his source. So this is after I heard the OC Register thing. I saw Bricky's video, the permit even, and I know Monsters doesn't close for a year, but the way Disney works at like a slow pace, if they were going to drop Avatar and switch to Zootopia, they would need more than a year to do all that. So I think the permit also sort of points to Avatar. But again, nothing's ever for sure. I mean, I remember as in the late 90s, I mean, reading Disney magazine, and they had a whole 2-page spread on Westcott. And look what happened with that. So we just don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I used to say back in the day, OG, when the bulldozers move in, that's when you know this thing is really happening. But even now, right, especially post Epcot, okay, there were a lot of things promised and a lot of things closed and a lot of things done. And then what we actually got was very different than what we were promised in the past. So even when the bulldozers move in, you still don't know. Sometimes things can happen. Things can fall off the train right there. I will say, to get Zootopia in, especially if you're adapting plans that you already, execute at Shanghai, I don't think it would be necessarily a stretch to redesign those and quickly move them in if you actually want to do that. And that's the question. Does Disney even want to pivot at this point right here? Have they invested too much? Is this train a moving? And it's like, what? We have commitments, we have builders, we have contractors. We're establishing all this stuff. We're going in. It might just be too late. I don't know. But I think it was very interesting timing where you had this permit filed literally days after that rap article actually came out and weeks after Jim Shaw said, hey, this is, don't be surprised if this doesn't actually move forward. I want to go ahead and go to Google Maps right here because there's some logistical problems when it comes to, putting the world of Pandora in this section of California Adventure. Let me see if I can bring this up right here. We have Disneyland loaded up. I'll go ahead and share my screen right now. You've seen before what this roughly looks like right here. Going to go into the satellite view and the globe view. That's what we want.
Now, this is why I love nerdy stuff. This is the nerdy stuff I live for. When you bust out the Google Maps, you got me, bro. You got me.
I know, right? I know. I try. We try to really bring out the details here. Okay, so if you watch the OG 55 video, which you absolutely should, we noted in the wrap article that there were some logistical hurdles that might be preventing something like this to actually being installed in Disney California Adventure. One is the fact that, look, if you put a boat ride in, which is why I showed that concept up before, it might be the form of like Shanghai's boat ride system, right? Whatever boat ride system that you actually implement for this land, well, you're going to have a water treatment facility right next door, and that becomes difficult in a space-constrained space as we're looking at right here. That's one. Two, operationally, it becomes easier because if you go for Zootopia instead of Avatar, for Hot Pursuit, let's say, that Hot Pursuit attraction is basically Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. It's much more detailed, obviously, doesn't require as a reliance on projections like Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway does, but they use the same ride system, ergo, they use the same parts. So that was kind of the thing that Drew Taylor brought up in his article. Jim Shull said, hey, wait a minute, what about the monorail? And that is a question, because when we saw the updated Disneyland Forward art that they brought out, this was particularly interesting, OG, because the previous Eastern Gateway project had the monorail being rerouted around this area, right? It was going to be moved a little bit to the north and then make its way back to Buena Vista Street in this kind of S-curve pattern and then move on. In these updated Disneyland Forward concept arts and so forth and permit filings and everything else, we don't see that. We see the monorail actually stay on its current course because obviously it's a very expensive process to undergo, especially in California, earthquake country and so forth. You really have to go through those pylons in the ground. Okay. What happens to the monorail in this scenario? Do you push back Avatar in order to bypass that? Does that become part of the scenic view of the land? We don't see that reflected in the concept art. What happens here?
Yeah, I think they're gonna. And my best guesstimate is I think they're gonna try to hide it the best that they can. Similar to how it kind of goes through the Grand Cali Hotel and stuff. It's there, but it's hidden. I think we're gonna see something like that. You might see pieces of it coming in, coming out. I think for the most part, they'll utilize rock work and cleverly placed, facades, what have you, to kind of cover it up. It is an issue. The only thing, though, is, people have suggested, okay, maybe the Symbol Lot, but then the Symbol Lot even has an issue because now you got to figure out how to hide that big hotel, the Pixar hotel. So it's like, no matter where you put this thing, it's kind of like there's going to be this kind of sightline issue. So I'm not really sure. I mean, but I think in my best guess is I think Disney will try its best to kind of hide it. They kind of did a little bit of that even with Buena Vista Street. You can see the monorail, but they put the that bridge, I forgot what it was called. The one off the
Hyperion Bridge.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so they tried their best to kind of hide it. I think we're going to see little attempts like this to sort of manage that. But other thing too that is interesting is I wonder what kind of route they're going to go with this land, because Avatar does have a mechanical, technological element component to those franchises that you can kind of incorporate the monorail if done cleverly. Now, we don't see that in the concept art, right? But maybe they're going to change that to kind of incorporate some technical stuff in and around that beam. And maybe as you go further, you get into more of the natural beauty. I don't know, but we'll see.
It is a very interesting question. I'm trying to bring up that concept art actually, so people can kind of hook their peepers on a little bit, because you can see right here. There you go. I have it in my assets there. you can see right here the monorail's not reflected in this art, and this is roughly where it's going to go. This kind of corner of Disney California Adventure as it currently exists right here. The footprint of this park will expand, obviously, with Disneyland Forward. The whole idea being that this transportation center that you actually see here to the north of where Hollywoodland is currently located gets transported to another place, particularly actually with that parking structure that they're going to be building on the other side of Harbor, which is good because this area, it's just become problematic in recent years, right? It's right off of Harbor. Harbor's very, very busy. Not only that, but you have the drop-off area right there, which regularly backs up back into Harbor. That's not good, especially for city officials and so forth. So this definitely needs to move, no question. So you can go north a little bit, but you still got to leave a little bit of space for that foot traffic and so forth. We see that sweeping bridge in the concept art, right? Okay, but that's just it. I just don't see where that monorail's positioned, at least in this art. Maybe everything is pushed back. I don't know, but that's going to leave a lot of room, I don't think, for like a boat ride if in fact they're actually going to do that. I have seen some calculations out there suggesting that this is roughly the same size as the current footprint as Avatar currently exists in Animal Kingdom. Yeah. That's encouraging. However, you got to do something about the monorail. You can incorporate it. I mean, I think this is what Fresh Baked actually said on X as well, OG, to mirror your point here. It's like, look, you do have mechanical aspects to Avatar, right? You can incorporate a monorail maybe more effectively than you could have actually in Buena Vista Street, ironically enough. So it's possible, but we just don't see it reflected in the art. I'm surprised by that. Tom, you've heard this discussion. You've heard what's going on right here. What are your kind of extended thoughts on this particular subject?
Being that I've never been out there, but I've seen plenty of streams, these guys talking about it and seeing how it fit it. Sure. They could disguise it with the Avatar theming, but how well they're going to do that, I don't know. But we also been, I'll reflect back to your guys' Memento Mori shop that they moved in. Did. Oh. How, what a fiasco in a waterlogged situation that was when it first opened. So with that being said, I got my popcorn bucket waiting to see what happens. And
OG, okay, you saw the drama connected to that gift shop outside of the Haunted Mansion. Right? That's no good stuff right there.
So that's what's in my mind.
Issues.
Well, and the problem,
issues. God.
Oh yeah, the problem with that whole Haunted Mansion thing was that I don't even think the building is all that ugly, but the scale is all off. Like that's the biggest issue. If the scale was right, I'd be like, okay, cool. But like, because it wasn't designed.
It looked like it was bought off of Home Depot's parking lot and dropped there.
Exactly.
And set up a little bit. It was like, Disney, you could do better than this. Were you just on a budget restraint?
Yes. That was horrible.
Well, and it's particularly horrible because it's outside of a famous attraction, right? Haunted Mansion's been there since 69. Awesome stuff. And that area around there is so carefully crafted. That kind of river area that you kind of see a little bit right here. It's so carefully crafted, and there's been so much detail applied over the years and so much consideration for the scale and everything else for this part of the park, even with Fantasmic, even with some of these new things that have been installed over the years. It's like, look, we got to make this fit within the story trying to be told, and then you have this honking piece right here of our version of Memento Mori.
I'm looking at the roof shape of it. I'm like,
I know it's too big.
It doesn't even look like it just doesn't flow. I mean, the inside, okay, it's okay. It's
the inside, cool, I think is fine.
But the outside is kind of like, meh. It's like,
it just doesn't need to be that tall.
Here's some paint. That's good enough.
It doesn't need to be that tall, as you can see right here. It's no good.
Well, it messes with the force perspective and all that. They dropped the ball on this thing big time. Now, thankfully, when it comes to Avatar, James Cameron is going to be on them. And that might be part of the reason why this thing has been kind of like, maybe not so much delayed. I don't really know what the timeline was initially anyway.
That's the model, right? That's the model, right?
That's the model.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
how big is that going to be?
It looks huge.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, it looks cool. It looks really nice in the models and their paintings, but could that whole thing hide the back part of the monorail?
If you bring it up, you're saying.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
forward. I mean, you
guess
can
you
maybe go
could.
through that building. I think maybe go through that building and you know, there's ways around it for sure.
Because this is Florida, right? This is the Florida land right here.
Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
Florida Animal Kingdom version.
Yeah. I'd like to see how they do that, because when I went to that was cool.
Yeah.
That was done nicely.
Avatar's a banger.
Oh, it is. I love this land. I love it. But here's the thing: there has to be a reason why they're really wanting it here. Either it's the underground stuff, like because I mean, they used to have back in the day. There used to be a fountain here with a Sorcerer Mickey on it. And
Yes.
there might be a lot more water infrastructure, piping, what have you, that they can utilize for Avatar in this area. Symbolot it's a kind of a fresh canvas. They might not have that stuff underground. They might be like, this is kind of like the more effective, you know.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it, OG. That's why they've opted for this area, because infrastructurally, right, it's just much easier to tie into existing work than it is to set up these things across the street, as you would have to do with the Symbolot. It would come with a certain level of investment, and it's like, okay, if it's an investment that we don't have to necessarily make now, let's not. Let's go ahead and get Avatar in there in a very similar manner that we actually see with Magic Kingdom occurring right now, or maybe even Monsters Incorporated, as it's taking over that area of the Muppets land that was part of Disney's Hollywood Studios. It's like, if you tie in, it's a lot better than new construction. That's true.
Yeah.
I just I love the idea of Avatar actually making its way to Disney California Adventure, or Disneyland Resort. I do, because I think, Disney California Adventure needs more nature, right? Can you incorporate it into the California theme? I don't know if that's possible, but you need a little bit more variety. That park needs visitors. It needs expansion. It needs to grow. All those things good, I think. It's just the location. I'm just not thrilled about where this is going. I think there are a lot of logistical hurdles to get it in this spot, and I don't think it'll ever truly 100% work.
Well, the transition is going to be rough no matter what they do, because you can't have that lead up. I mean, you really can't even have a Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland lead up.
Yeah, no.
I mean, when you're going up into Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland, I mean, you really go through it like you feel like you're traveling somewhere. You can't do that with this. And this is going to be more like akin to Galaxy's Edge and Hollywood Studios.
Yeah,
that transition, or Wizarding World at Universal Hollywood, where it's street and then you go under like an archway or something, and you're in Pandora. I mean, unless they have some real creative workaround that I'm not aware of, that I'm not thinking of, I'm not really sure, but the transition is going to be abrupt, I feel.
It is, and if people don't know the lengths by which Imagineering tried to get Star Wars Galaxy's Edge into Disneyland, especially in that back corner of the park that's so beloved by so many for so long, I mean, hey, Walt Disney, he cashed out his life insurance policy to pay for the Mark Twain. It's important that we actually keep that, but it's important that we keep that consistency, that coherency with these stories as it exists out in Disneyland. You can see right here, this is the entrance, one of the main entrances into Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Very different from what you actually experience in Disney's Hollywood Studios, for example, if you're coming off of the America Street right there, or even if you're going around the Toy Story Land entrance right there. Very different. And it's a great entrance portal into these lands, and there's 3 of them here, which is very, very cool. I don't see this being replicated. I just don't. It's just not enough land. There's just not enough space to do this. And that is most unfortunate right there. And you're coming off of Buena Vista Street. It's interesting, OG. One of the aspects that we haven't actually confronted in this whole saga is that, originally Marvel was going to take up residence in this Hollywoodland area back in the day, right? And it was going to be brought in because of the land afforded to them with the Eastern Gateway project. Well, when the Eastern Gateway project fell through, they still wanted to go with Marvel. Where'd they opt for it? They opted for a Bug's Land. And so had to, demo that, put in Spider-Man, another bug, but much more famous, and go forward with that. And leaving the Hollywood land to its own devices yet again. I think it was the second time that we thought that land was going to be developed. It did not, and now maybe Avatar. Maybe this land is just cursed, OG. Maybe,
It's possible.
maybe nothing goes in there. Maybe it's like Tomorrowland. The east side, never a good side.
Well, yeah, and that was my big concern too, actually, prior to the permit filing, right? I think we talked about it on my channel, where it's like, if they're really bouncing these ideas off, you know, Avatar, Zootopia, Avatar, I was worried. I'm like, is this going to end up like Tomorrowland, where they can't figure it out? So we'll kick the can. Now, it's not looking like that's going to be the case just because of the permit filings, but yeah, that's a real issue. It is an absolute real issue. Now, I'm very curious. Now, here's the thing. Josh D'Amaro and the new experiences guy, Thomas Maslin.
Yes.
They have to, this D23. And look, I support Avatar. I'm willing to give it a chance in this spot. I mean, you know, but I mean, if they go to that, if we have that expo, and they don't give us really anything on this project and how it fits into this park and really get some details, that is going to be a disaster for them. I mean, you have to explain this. The fans, look at the community, how much this has been a topic in our community for weeks and months now, right? Everyone's energized. Everyone's trying to talk about this and speculate. The interest is out there. Disney has to provide some answers. We can't go to another D23 with another vague piece of artwork. They got to do something. And I hope they come through, Vash. I really do.
I hope so, because, man, I think of that wall, right? That wall that's been sitting out there with that piece of concept art for the entrance of Tomorrowland. It's been sitting out there since 2019.
Right.
In front of the entrance of that land in Disney's original park, that being Disneyland. I just think, man, what could have been? Where are we going? What are we doing? How are we, moving through this? And a lot of those questions, I think you're right, are arriving with something like, either Avatar or Zootopia for Hollywood's, Disney's Disney California Adventure Hollywood Land. It's like, what are we going to do here? How are we going to develop this? How is this going to work? Is this still coming? Great, you got the demo permits in place. Yes, that's true. It's always easy to demo stuff. Right. And we've seen that before. Yeah. But is there going to be something that we can look forward to on the other side? I want to go ahead and share this real fast as a little bit of a joke here. Okay, so you saw this famous photo here of the Imagineers as they were hoisting that big kind of hat topper piece into the front of this kind of animation courtyard that they are delivering to us via Disney's Hollywood Studios. Right, this was an animation courtyard before. It had a number of changes over the years. Most recently, Launch Bay, and now back to the animation courtyard. And as a nod to the animation building at in the Burbank Studios, actually, they're hoisting the hat as a nod to all of that. Very good. And I thought it was a particularly fun photo to share, which is why they did, I'm sure. But Five Fires over there on X, having a little fun with it. Changing out the hat, obviously, for that wall.
Big shout to Mondo, by the way. He is a rock star. I love that guy. So that is hilarious.
It's pretty good right there. I mean, it's like, I know you guys are satisfied with your work, but the work isn't over. That is for sure. Can we get something for this wall after 7 years of it existing in that space? No good.
At this point, is that going to be considered an attraction after 7 years?
Oh, yeah.
It already is.
I'll meet you at the wall. Everybody knows what it means.
It's become a historical landmark at this point,
I think it is. I think it is. I think we can actually we can go with that. Yeah, wallception, as Gojo says.
The question is, what's behind the wall, guys? What are they hiding?
It is infrastructure for Astro Orbiter, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct. Yeah, the rockwork used to cover it. Ironically, we're talking about rockwork covering stuff, and they removed the rockwork covering this.
Yes. And I think the idea was sound because, Disneyland in the day, pretty easy to navigate, pretty easy to get around. I mean, unless it's like super busy, you can pretty much get from point A to point B. There are some pathways that might clog up. It's going back to the 1950s, right? So some things are more navigable than others. However, at night, things do get very, very tight, especially when that entertainment's flowing. You got Paint the Night going down the road right there. You got fireworks up in the air. You got Phantasmic over here. It can get pretty dicey pretty quickly if you've ever been in this park during those times. And the idea was, okay, for the entrance of Tomorrowland, which is a major artery for that park, especially at night, you have this rock we're jutting out right there. It's taking up a lot of land. We could alleviate so much crowd flow if we actually got rid of these rocks that were design set pieces from the 1998 version of Tomorrowland. You can kind of see a little bit of that, or at least a little bit of the entrance right here, of what it kind of looks like right now. But they had these rocks kind of, they call them French fry rocks. Yeah. They kind of jutted out, right, in a style very similar to what currently exists actually for Disneyland Paris's Discoveryland. And that's kind of what the 1998 version of Tomorrowland was based on, because a lot of the same people worked on it. Anyway, now 20 years removed, 30 years, it's like, do we really need these here? No. Okay, let's go ahead and take them out, alleviate this crowd flow, and then this will be part of a new rebranding effort for the entrance of Tomorrowland, and now for Tomorrowland as a whole. Unfortunately, we lost the rocks, but we did not gain that new entrance. And when you look at, Astro Orbiter as it goes up, you can see the wall right there, right next door, and it's been that way ever since. This is the hub. This is the hub of what I consider Disneyland, OG. Disneyland is now, I think, the most attended theme park in the world. It was very close for a lot of years, up there with Magic Kingdom. I think it is the most attended theme park in the world, though, with the attendance problems that Walt Disney World has been experiencing, and the diminishment that's come from not only Epic Universe, but from the construction taking place there. So, for your marquee park, Disney, come on, your hub. Let's go ahead and restore that to its former glory.
I agree, and I do, and I'm kind of curious too. I'm kind of I want to get your guys' opinion on this too, with Disneyland Resort in general, because we're very tight on space out here. Very tight, and that monorail goes through so much. And I think there's been, ever since I would say like Wizarding World, there's been this industry sort of, I don't want to call it a trend, but I think a new direction in the industry to have like these really immersive lands where you walk in and that's all, it's everything. I mean, even really Walt Disney really didn't even do that. I mean, we see like he had the monorail going through Fantasyland, and he didn't, he did have a lot of this stuff bleed into other things. But in recent years, I think it's been more of like this kind of push to have these lands where it's very immersive, right? Do you think Disneyland Resort is going to have to kind of readjust that mindset, considering the space limitations and what we're being, how much room we have to work with? Do you think that we might have to sort of, I hate to say settle, because I don't want to diminish on the quality, but I mean, is there like do you think that we might have to just sort of maybe approach these things differently because of this finite amount of space that we have? I mean, Galaxy's Edge was kind of a lightning in the bottle because they moved heaven and earth to get that thing in there. But I think for the most part, going forward, we're going to have these issues, even Symbolot, right, with the Pixar Hotel and all that stuff. So, but what do you think, Vash? I mean, do you think that's something that we might just have to kind of work around as best we can, or you think it's something that, like, how do you feel about it?
I think Dusty Sage has actually brought this up on my chat quite a few times, actually, when he's strolling around the park doing his live streams, which are pretty fun to witness if you guys have never done that. I believe he streams on Wednesdays. I'm sorry, Thursdays. It's kind of interesting. But he said, look, you have to be space conscious when you're designing stuff for Disneyland. Like OG said, very tight on space. I mean, we're talking between the two parks combined. I mean, it's basically a city block, and effectively, and you're talking max 200 plus acres. I mean, it's not that much, right? Versus like Walt Disney World, you have, what did Walt Disney say? Hey, the blessing of size. That's something we never enjoyed at Disneyland, right? Now, we haven't necessarily seen them utilize that land to the extent that maybe all of us want. However, you have 4 parks to spread this stuff out. Disneyland is just not that way, right? It's really tight, and when you have an immersive experience, and I think a lot of the industry was very influenced by Harry Potter and the first incarnation of that attraction experience, Immersive Land, that came with 2010 at Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. It's like, okay, let's make all of our lands immersive, and it's like, you've got to have a great franchise to do that, first of all, and second of all, what does your future attraction slate look like when you do stuff like that? Right. Like that. This is why OG's presenting this point right here, because it's like, how do you expand on, I don't know, Frozen and Disney's Adventure World as we've been seeing right now, or maybe even Fantasy Springs? Like, where do you go when you do that? And I think Fantasy Springs actually is like the best incarnation of this kind of immersive thing, where it's like you have multiple franchises all compacted into one, like the traditional land structure that we've come to know from Disney before Harry Potter entered the scene right there. And I think that's what you have to do for Disneyland. I think you have to really assess this differently, because you have Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, a $1 billion land set in a timeline that, well, frankly, has come and gone. What do you do with this land now? Right, exactly. And this is Star Wars.
No, exactly. And here's the thing too, and I think it was Andy Cashler who mentioned this point a few years ago, and I think it's a brilliant point. Galaxy's Edge, its immersiveness almost works against it at Disneyland. And I've heard this complaint by a few people. I think it was actually Jose too, Theme Park Philosophy, who brought it up when he came down here about a year ago, where Galaxy's Edge feels like a separate park. It doesn't feel like it's a part of Disneyland. You feel like you leave Disneyland and go into a Star Wars theme park. Now, some people love that, some people don't like that, but that's also an equation here where it's like, do the Imagineers want these things to feel like one cohesive piece, or is it more important to kind of have them these little pockets of immersion? I don't know, but I think it's an interesting discussion to have, because I think going forward, how are they going to want to approach this stuff? So
I think it's very intriguing. I don't know if this immersive world thing for Disney is a great long-term play, and this even goes beyond, I think, Disneyland. You are limited in a franchise, and unless you can iterate on that franchise multiple times, you do kind of get locked in. And even, Universal has experienced this to some degree, right? We don't really see expansions to Wizarding Worlds out there. Now, we are getting one, I think, in the form of Epic Universe, but we don't really see that even with them, even with a hot franchise as Harry Potter is, right? So when I look at Disney, and I think there was a lot of wisdom in having broad-based lands that encompass multiple attractions or multiple IPs rather than just one, because you can effectively leverage it in the future. It never grows old. You can also, when you're not bound to the realities of like an IP that you're trying to recreate, you can be a lot more free in how you utilize that space and how you condense these attractions and so forth. Like Cars Land, to do that accurately, it requires 10 acres, right? Or how many acres they dedicated to that? Maybe it was 12, actually.
I think it was 12, yeah. I think it's huge.
Yeah. It requires that. That's what you got to do. I'm not thrilled about that, but when you're seeing like Villains Land, for example, that seems to be really open-ended. Seems to be really broad, and it seems like they want to incorporate multiple characters, not just one. So maybe we're heading back into a direction that's a little bit more sensible when it comes to theme park design. Unless you have a really great franchise that you want to be immersed in, maybe we should back off on that. OG, I think you made a great point on this. Disneyland especially, we've got to retain that land. I know we talked about Avatar and how we want that. Right. We got to think too about the operational realities of this. Tom, what's your take on this? Okay, do you like the traditional land structure, or do you like the immersive land?
Going back to your side of the country there, the original Disneyland. Okay, that's it. Walt walked it, designed it, did the stuff, everything. And you are landlocked. You're landlocked. Yeah. They're buying little bit, piece by piece. Like they bought that street, they bought that lot, right? Yeah. They did things. Mm-hmm. Why are you going to ruin something, change it to immersion that actually just works in your park, when you can have your other parks do that for you? Why are you going to hurt what you got going with this history that makes people keep coming back to it? We want to go see the rivers now. Well, we can't come to Florida to do that. We got to come to California or go out of the country.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to do this. Let's take in what he brought up. Well, Galaxy's Edge kind of is like, the error came and passed. Well, now maybe they're going to try to incorporate all those errors. Is there a ray of hope there? And I don't mean that by the character Ray. You go here. I've been to Disney World here, Hollywood Studios. When you go into our Galaxy's Edge there, you go through that big portal where the Muppets used to be. Don't even get me started on that. But you walk into that portal, it's like you are in a different park. I will give them that. The theming on that, they did that right. You go in there, it's like you're in a different park. Disney, where your land, that's a different thing. He envisioned it the way he did. Maybe he didn't think about, okay, we got to make this so immersive that everything has to be a different thing. When you walk through Fantasyland and into different parts, everything kind of went together and it just did. Yes, you had your sight lines, but it's not done like Disney World. It's a completely different animal. You had constraints. With all this land there, you don't have the constraints.
Yeah, Disneyland is it kind of bleeds in like a lot, especially a lot of the Walt era stuff. Like, we got the monorail going everywhere. We got this stuff. You can definitely see things from other lands. But here's the thing too, and I'm torn on it. I don't even really know the answer, but I'm torn on it because I feel like that was Walt kind of birthing this new medium, right? This new art form, theme parks. So anytime you birth a new thing, it's not going to be like, for example, like, there's a difference between Steamboat Willie and like, say, Tangled, right? Animation wise, right? So when you start something new, it's going to be a little bit more rough around the edges. It's not going to be as polished as the newer stuff. So there's an element of that too, where yes, Walt did have a lot of the bleed over from all their stuff, but he also was creating something new where maybe that was the early iteration of it, but we've evolved from that, right?
Yeah,
I'm torn on it. I don't really know what direction they should go on. It really, I mean, maybe it should just be case by case. I don't know.
I think it would be case by case.
Here's a question for you guys.
Please.
Sure.
Your great grandchildren, what do you want them to be able to see?
Yeah. I mean, I like to pass down a lot of the experiences at Disneyland as they currently exist to my kids, but I also understand the reality that, Disney's going to do what they're going to do. I mean, look, I remember when Judah Disney Dude came on here, and he's like, hey, I don't care for the Muppets. I just don't have that same affinity for them as some people out there have. A lot of people took umbrage with that, but he was sharing his opinion. He was expressing the opinion that, like, listen, I just don't have the same affinity for it as maybe others. And look, Disney understands their clientele. They understand their audience, right? They understand what resonates, what works, what sells. Yep. They made a decision, and it's look, would I have made it? No. But that's the decision that Disney made because they understand that these emerging generations are into different things.
Yeah, no, well said.
So,
that's right. But I'm also going to bring up, let's bring up your reservation system, and I'm going to point to why.
Please.
Park attendants. If they didn't have a reservation system, would you have trouble getting into the park?
Okay, Vash, you and I have talked about this before. Disney's always, especially out here in California, we have so many locals. There has to be a barrier to entry. So it has to either be a reservation system or they got to jack the prices way up or something.
How many of those locals are pass holders?
How many pass holders we got in the system now, Vash? It's so
85% of the annual attendance, or at least I think it was 75% actually, to be more precise, of the annual attendance for Disneyland come from within 250 miles of the park, right? So that's kind of the magnitude.
Kind of like Florida too, with their locals, about 200. Florida's huge, dude. Too. You get it.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, if you didn't have the reservations, let's go back before the reservations happened. What was it like back then? Attendance-wise. And I'm asking because the way they can gauge what they should change at their parks is if you keep having people coming and they're not complaining about it, why are you taking away a good thing for mediocre things?
Yeah. Well, this is interesting.
I'm just bringing that up for just Conversation.
No. This is an interesting. This is an interesting point you brought up, and OG, I think we talked about this before too.
Yeah.
At Disneyland, you can't have seasonal structures. You can't have things that are lowly attended. Everything kind of has to work on its own, and stand on its own 2 feet, because land is such a premium right there. And look, you look at dark rides, for example, that we're seeing on screen right now. There's 5 different dark rides in this kind of courtyard, and spread a little bit out with Alice in Wonderland, in a place that maybe Disney creating a ride today would only have just one, right? And so for the footprint that those dark rides actually provide entertainment for people, it's like, look, it's worth that, because you're never going to get that amount of entertainment in that such a confined footprint ever again. Tiki Room, for example, it's like, well, could we use that for something else? Well, not really. It does its job. Thousands of people go in there per day, and for that small footprint, it works. Whereas, I think like Submarine Voyage, it's kind of like, that's on the opposite side of that equation. It takes up a huge amount of land. It's very expensive to maintain. Nemo is, it's a big franchise, but it's not the biggest franchise, and it's not the best showcase of that particular IP in that particular part of the park. It's like,
that was
can we make better use of this?
That was originally the 50,000 Leagues, right?
Well, so at Magic Kingdom it was 20,000 Leagues.
Yeah.
At Disneyland, it opened in 1959 with no theme, interestingly enough, and then it
Subway.
received a theme in 2007. Yeah, the Submarine Voyage.
Yeah. Well, and it's pretty crazy. It's Tom, that's a great question though, with the reservation system and what have you. And this is why I'm glad I'm not in charge of this stuff, because there is definitely a kind of spinning all these different plates, balancing everything kind of element here with all this stuff,
Yeah.
Managing that demand, but you still want to make as much money as you possibly can, and this, that, and the other. Another thing too, you bring a Tiki Room. I think Tiki Room, the saving grace for that attraction, or never from it being country bared, basically, right, and removed. The saving grace for that attraction is that attraction is very monetized. That thing with the Dole Whips,
yep.
It's a cash cow. And actually, I also think that's why our Rivers of America was never on the chopping block, because our river is even monetized with Fantasmic Dining packages.
Yep. Look, I got some heat for this.
On Sawyer's Island? I'm not familiar.
Yeah, we do. It's just, it's not great. It's not as, it was never as good as Magic Kingdom's, which is why Magic Kingdom's loss is so unfortunate. But so I got a little heat from this, from some of our contemporaries at the time that were suggesting, hey, if you're not upset about Rivers of America leaving Magic Kingdom, it could happen at Disneyland. And I said, no, not in a million years. For a variety of reasons. But one of the reasons why, and OG, you were so great in pulling this up, it is very monetized, right? In two ways. One is obviously Fantasmic at night. That area gets tons of business. But for those dining packages, I mean, I calculated it out. You're talking about very close to $200,000 a night that Fantasmic is actually run in that particular area, just on dining packages alone.
That's nuts.
It is crazy. It is insane. Yeah, it's a moneymaker. And that's why, Fantasmic is in the state that it is, because it's like, hey, if we run this show, we make a lot of money. Yeah, we got to take it down. We got to refurbish it. No, we're going to do this. Okay, fine. Whatever. But the other thing is that you have a lot of restaurants that take advantage of that river view around there in a way that just didn't occur at Magic Kingdom. One of the reasons is because it's so hot, right? People want to eat indoors, not out. California,
Epcot.
It is the opposite. Good.
It does
please
occur
don't.
at Epcot. That's interesting. For fireworks and the stuff that occurs, Spice Rope Table, all that stuff around Epcot.
Right.
It fills up during the shows.
Yep. Yep. And especially for those nighttime shows, that's why a nighttime show that worked, it had to be in there, because the amount of money that's made from a lot of those restaurants that border World Showcase Lagoon out there, it is significant. And it actually operations, it ties into it, because people move to the back of the park. from morning to dusk in order to take advantage of a lot of those things. And there's a lot of restaurants to go around and so forth, so it's really part of the economy of that park. Disneyland, not as crazy as that, but during the day you have Cafe Orleans, you have the Hungry Bear restaurant. I know it's Country Bear themed. I can't remember the name of it, but there you go. Even Rancho Zocalo, to a certain extent, benefits from that area. So you have a number of restaurants, a number of eateries, and guess what, folks? They spent tens of millions of dollars to redirect that whole Rivers of America, build that amazing sound barrier or visual barrier between Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and the Rivers of America proper right there. You think they're going to redo all that? No. That's a long-term investment right there. We have 2 boats, not 1. And we've got an active river. Please go ahead, OG.
Well, beautifully said, Vash. Beautifully said. And this is why you and I talked about this on my channel too. This is why when Disney came out and said, "Oh, well, we have to get rid of the red car because we can't find a place for the trolley barn because of Avengers Campus," I was laughing because it's like, come on, Disney. You can do all that. You can reroute the Rivers of America. You can redirect the train. You can flatten all the sidewalks, but you can't find a trolley barn. Come on. I don't even care at this point. You know what? Park it in the Hyperion. I don't even care. Just bring it back.
Yes. It's so sad. Look, I hope, if there's a silver lining to all of this, maybe Avatar doesn't go in, maybe something else goes in, maybe it's delayed, maybe it doesn't happen, whatever. Trolley was there for a reason. Trolley was a place-making opportunity for them. There's no kinetic energy almost in all of this California Adventure. You have a couple of places, here and there, but it's not like Disneyland. And it doesn't have those place-making elements like those, streetcars and so forth that Main Street benefits from. It sets that tone as soon as you walk in. DCA didn't have any of that. The Imagineers moved heaven and earth to imbue that into that land. And all for naught, unfortunately. And it's really, really sad. Hopefully we get something that moves in Avatar if it doesn't actually come. But boy, that is a very interesting discussion. They go a lot of ways with that right there. But we'll have to go ahead and put a bookmark in that for later. Hidden Geek Village, though.
Yes.
Well, he wants to go ahead and continue on the journey right there by becoming a Sky Watcher. Thank you so much for, not only becoming a member, but gifting a member in this case. Sorry. Gifting a member to I'm JZTME, I do believe. Hey, or I'm just me. Thank you so much. Very much appreciate that, Hidden Geek Village, wanting to make your fellow Sky Aligners, Sky Watchers with you. Remember, we have a members-only stream every single Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern right there with Vixen, actually, Vash and Vixen. And there might be the debut of a new song right there that Tom's cooked up for us.
Maybe. I don't know. We got to see if it
I'm trying to work on it. Try to get it going. I've been delayed a little bit. OG knows my horrible tech issues that have been going on.
I know your tech issues too. I know.
You do. I blew up OG's phone though. This morning. You know what? I spoke to you audibly, but his text messages not looking so good. Not awesome, but
if it's any consolidate or comfort, I use a iMac, and when this guy breaks down, it's not fun.
Well,
because Apple is
I just switched to a mini Mac, one of the minis, and I got 2 desktops here, and I got your drive, Vash. Sorry.
No. Oh, there you go. That's interesting right there.
Yeah, no, it's just a joke. It's like, hey, I got your drive. As you can tell from my background, that's my back in 2000 and I'd say 7 or 8 maybe setup, maybe around there, 2007. My background setup. So that's a dated picture.
Mm-hmm. Well, well, there you go. I do like your setup there, Tom.
It's kind of weird.
It's a little weird, but I think it's very much. It's very much you. So I do appreciate you, no matter what form you actually come in on. Is there anybody streaming right now that we can actually redirect to? I just want to make sure that we're not leaving anybody out in the cold.
I don't know if Lorena is finishing up or not.
Okay, yeah, I don't actually know either. I don't see anybody on the list. If anybody has some place we can go ahead and please offer your
It is
suggestions in the chat right there.
is
Go ahead,
one
please.
of our buddies like theme park casual in the parks right now or anything? I'm
I
looking
was
right now.
I was looking at that too. I didn't actually see them. Usually, not only Theme Park Casual, but I think Bear Place 28 actually streams on Thursdays. He was taking a little bit of time off
it this week because of with his dad.
because of his father, of course. Of course. Okay. I didn't know. I can't see anybody. So if there's anything on there,
Lorena's
well, I'd be very much willing to hand the stream over to them. Yes, I'm an IT administrator. Let me know if there's anything I can help. Thankfully, tuning upon 829, I have resolved this issue, and I was working on this for like 5 days. To give you a little backstory, I couldn't receive anything from StreamYard. I could send all the information I wanted to, right? I could send my mic, camera, everything's great, but I couldn't actually get anything back. That means sound in this case, right? I couldn't receive anything, and I was like, what is actually going on with this whole thing? Walked down the line of browsers and so forth, even different browsers. I went down the line of even firewall issues and got a little bit headway right there. Went down the line of different things I could have been presenting this issue right here. Turns out it was just an optional driver. That's all I had to do was click on, install that, and everything worked. So
Blame it on
it's
Microsoft.
yeah, that's a condensed version. Yeah, exactly right there, Tom. Indeed. That's a condensed version. OG, I'm sure, can fill you in all of the details because I wrote them out because I was so frustrated. It was so crazy. But yes, Vixen Sky 007, actually. All the members, I will see you on Saturday on the Vash and Vixen show. You are all awesome. I do agree. You all are all awesome indeed. Oh, that gameplay starts at 10 p.m. Eastern? Okay. Well, let's Juliet, I'll go ahead and do that. That is just fine. While I'm doing that, or I do wonder what they're playing actually, because some of their choices have been very, very interesting as of late. But I want to go ahead and showcase somebody who has, a tremendous effect on me, obviously, and providing me my start. And OG55 has a wonderful channel that all of you should subscribe to. If you have not, please, OG, we got going on over there at Orange Grove 55.
Yes. No, thank you, Vash. I appreciate that. And Vash is a long time OG55 family member. We go back many moons. You can check out the channel years and years. But we on Orange Grove 55 we talk about similar stuff that we talk about here on Vash's channel. A lot of theme park stuff. We get into like the studio stuff, the corporate side, all that good stuff. So you can find me right here on YouTube, Orange Grove 55. I have a lot of great guests on like Vash and a lot of other great people that we, talk shop with and what have you. So check it out. And also I'm on Instagram, Orange Grove 55, and I'm also on X, Orange Grove 55. And Vash, I want to thank you so much for having me on, brother. This was a great conversation, a lot going on. We'll definitely be keeping our eyes out for this Avatar thing. I will say it is really crazy, this whole thing going on with that, but it makes for great content for guys like us. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's so very interesting because it's just kind of ever revolving tale that has a lot of history, right? That you can definitely chew on, right? And then the future is anybody's guess because it's just there's so many moving parts and pieces to it. It's crazy. You have a CEO that says yes, we're gonna do this, and then he's out, and then you have a new CEO who says maybe we're gonna do this, maybe we're not. Like, we haven't heard anything from him ever since Josh D'Amaro did get into the big corner office right there. But you've had a lot of things moving around him and maybe making decisions for him. It is crazy. I love talking about this stuff though, and I love talking about it with OG55 and also too our fellow panelist Tom F right here, which has a channel of his own. I'm trying to go ahead and find the links for Tom F's amazing channel. Where is it? Do I have it in my list of contributors right here? I do not. Wow, I do apologize. Tom.
Hold on, I'll give it to you.
Okay, you got it for me?
I'll get it. It's coming. If my Mac wants to behave.
While he's getting that, I just want to give a big shout to Rudio. Vash, you and I did a couple videos with Rudio back in the day.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I love rodeo. I love rodeo. Those videos, I have tremendous. I get nostalgic thinking about them. I love them so much. Chat. It's been really, really cool. Here you go, right there. Thank you so much, Tom, for that. Yes, TJ McAfee is where you can find Tom F. at right there. I actually have to add to the list of subscribe channels in the description. Yeah. I should have that in there. I don't, but please go ahead. What do you got going on your neck of the woods?
Rocket launches, some music vids. Surprised they're not showing up there. It refreshed on me, but yeah, I got a bunch of shorts, bunch of rocket launch stuff going on. Try to do some long form on that. I'm trying to get out to the Space Center and do a little video, and I got to see how that goes. And got some neat things coming. Did a couple of AI music videos. That's just a lot of fun, and got more of those in the work too. So
love it. Hey, space stuff is always awesome. I love space stuff. Like anything with the universe or rocket launches, going to the moon. I'm there for that. I love that kind of stuff.
If I walk out my front door, I look to the right. You see that first video there? That's all from my front yard.
Wow.
And I've been actually on center to see launches because I might have had employment out there. Might not have. Not going to say.
Yeah. He's a little cagey with the previous employments, but I know OG is definitely the guy you want to talk to. So that'll be fun stuff right there. If you want to go ahead and see more fun stuff from me, well, you are already in that place right there. So hit the subscribe button if you have not. But if you are a member, we're going to do a new live stream coming up on Saturday for Vash and Vixen. All those members out there, those Sky Watchers that have generously either been gifted or are joining us there out of their own pockets. Thank you so much. We're going to put on a little bit more content for you. Like, for example, there's a story out there in which a performing band that was going to perform at Magic Kingdom actually had all of their instruments stolen. Yes, right before the big gig, right before the big shot. Well, some disaster befell them. How did it end? Well, you're going to have to join in to see how that actually went. It's a very interesting story. We also are probably going to go over some of these characters right there because I know Vixen has a lot of opinions about that, and we'll also have more fun stuff to come. Join us for that and more.
So nobody steals it.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Hold those things dear because they're out there. Maybe in the Florida area. Yes, Juliet says they're playing Fortnite. That's going to be very, very cool stuff right there. Awesome to see you, Rudio, in the chat as well. That's going to be super cool. So there you go. That's where you can go ahead and find us, obviously. For everybody else who wants to go ahead and join us, we're going to be on stream Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern following that park place. Okay, I think that just about does it for our show right here. Let's go ahead and get you out of here. And it looks like that gameplay is going to be starting up in just about 25 minutes right there. So go ahead. Make sure you say Vash Sky ParkCast raid. Want to go ahead and wait for them. I would very much implore you to because they put on some amazing content. But if not, hit that notification bell right there. That way you are informed when they do go live. Thank you so much, Skylanders, Sky Watchers. Remember, the sky is the limit.